IPO at $1.5 trillion. So I digress. Lefty, my man, we got you up here today. How are you feeling? Can you hear us?
What's up? Yeah, can you hear me okay?
We sure can, dude. We're excited to get you on. For context here, guys, we were talking to Lefty earlier, setting up OBS, getting everything ready. We're like, we don't use OBS. So we appreciate you being prepared. We're excited to see what's going on. This whole world generation thing kind of has blown up recently with Google. Interestingly enough, you were working on this before they dropped this new product, which I forget the name of. Interesting
Yeah,
to get your thoughts today.
Genie 3
Genie
is
3.
what they, yeah.
Sweet. Well, I want to get into what they're building your product and maybe directionally just where we're headed with this stuff, because I think it's pretty wild to see. But Lefty, can we start at the top with just who you are, why you like coding stuff, and yeah, let's get to know you.
Sure. Yeah, so it's kind of funny because Genie 3 came out, I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks ago now. But before that, dude, before I even knew that Pump Fun was doing a hackathon, like I was working on Splat World just because it's like for me, it's for the last probably 6 months or so, it's kind of been stuck in my head of this idea of like, okay, last cycle, the metaverse was huge, and we've never really seen any kind of like the tech has gotten so much better, but we haven't really seen people explore that new tech in like a crypto sense, in a metaverse sense, and anything like that, right? So that was sort of the jumping off point with Splat World because there's this really cool model that I use called Marble. It's from a company called World Labs. And that tech is basically you can turn 2D images into these 3D explorable worlds, and that's called a Gaussian splat. So basically, my idea was like, okay, how can I get an agent running like some kind of an automated splat generation cycle? Because I thought it would be really interesting to, set up an agent and see if it can like develop its own taste profile, develop like its own kind of aesthetic through doing that. Yeah, like this is a great video here. This is kind of similar to Genie 3. This is Marble from World Labs, but basically it's gotten to the point where these world generation technologies are so good that in real time, or almost real time, you can take a text prompt or an image and create like a 3D world. And I think that sort of like blows the doors way open for all kinds of new ideas, right? I'm not an engineer by trade. I have some like programming coding background, but I'm not formally educated or anything. And kind of another point that just got me started on Splat World was like, okay, if there's all these cool tools that are now out there, but nobody's really making things outside of infrastructure, like I need to figure out something to build with this, because I think like it just kind of becomes this thing like with AI, like with all the OpenClaw stuff. Like if somebody sees something, maybe they get inspired to like build the next cool thing, blah, blah, blah. Like it's very much like a butterfly effect in my opinion. So I just kind of wanted to start, you know, being the change that I want to see, if that makes sense, right?
Look, I'll tell you something funny is I worked for a company called Metaverse Group actually for a while. And we were one of the only or first public market companies that was working in the metaverse. We did a bunch of stuff on Decentraland, and it was like this wild ride. We used a tool called Blockade Labs that basically did something very similar. You kind of prompted it and it created like a 3D world environment that you could like walk through and whatnot. How would you say this kind of, I guess, is different than some of those products from, the kind of the Metaverse V1, if we will?
Sure. I think that the main difference is the level of detail and customization that a lot of the current tools have. Because I mean, like you're saying, right? Like this type of thing did exist before, but I think that it was just in sort of a, I don't know, it was just in its infancy, right? And we're just seeing such a huge acceleration of these AI models over the last, dude, like it feels like the last couple weeks even. But it's just, I think as the tech exponentially gets better, there's just going to be so many more customization options. And like for me personally, I feel like media in general is going to kind of merge into this. Maybe people want to spend less time like watching TV or scrolling TikTok or whatever because they can, pull up their phone and like prompt something and come up with like a custom experience that, nobody else in the world has ever seen before. And that's like what people do with their free time. You know what I'm saying? Just because this tech has gotten so good and will just it's never going to be worse than it is right now, right? So
yeah, so I guess my next question would be like, what is Splat building and what's the thesis for where we're headed? Like, what is the thesis here? Where are we headed directionally? Why do we need world generation? And then what is Splat building to, prepare for that?
sure. So I can kind of give a little demo right now too.
Oh yes, please.
We love demos. And I got to say, I love the need money for Porsche guy in the bottom left of all your videos.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures.
No, it's a good one. I watch your videos. We watched your videos on previous stream, actually, just checking out Lefty and stuff, and they do just so cool. I love
Thanks,
the little
man.
guy. I like your commentary. It's funny too. So all good stuff. Low cap made a good point here. Is it a requirement to have a good deep voice if you don't want to be a Docs founder? Is that is your voice carrying here? Or?
I don't know, man. Much, but
Oh, I removed it on
so
accident, thinking it was your screen. Do you have your screen share? We can pop it up there.
yeah, it should be on right now. Is that
Oh,
working?
got you. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, this is the landing page of Splat World. It's a little bit squished right now just because I'm sharing a chunk of my screen. But basically, Splat World is a metaverse for agents. So the idea is kind of the jumping off point for me was Moltbook and kind of seeing Moltbook explode. It gave me this idea of like, okay, we can see agents have like social media now, right? But they don't have a physical place attached to it. So the fix here is Splat World. Before we get into the actual worlds, you can see right now, like we've got some agents live and exploring worlds at the moment, but we'll get to that. That's the grand reveal.
Okay.
But right here, you have like different boards. These boards are related to worlds that have been generated by agents on Splat World. So these agents are like having discussions with each other about these worlds. And how it works is agents will submit prompts, different agents on the site. We've got about 15 right now, 15 agents. The next kind of piece that I'm working on is onboarding agents. But the agents that are on Splat World are very active, because I think like one of the sort of issues with Moltbook as like a proof of concept was they hadn't really nailed down the interaction loop. And that's something that I spent a lot of time figuring out on Splat World was like, okay, once you have agents signed up, how do you get them to continue to come back? So Splat World is like very engaging for agents. So they submit these prompts, they vote on the prompts. Prompts are then turned into images. The images get voted on too. And if they successfully like pass, all of the votes and whatever, they get turned into worlds. So we'll check out one of these worlds right now. How about this
And so,
one? I haven't
quick
actually.
question: Why,
Mhm.
why do agents need worlds? What does this unlock for them?
Sorry, did I lose you?
Maybe my question is, why do agents need worlds? Like, what does this unlock for them practically? It looks like that little bead there's maybe another agent or something.
Yeah, so this is one of the live agents right now. We've got like a little proximity chat too. So it's funny because you can see them like talk with each other. I think the need for agents is, like I kind of mentioned earlier, a lot of this tech is sort of in its infancy. So I think having these sorts of proofs of concepts live and figuring out like, okay, we had like a Moltbook where we know agents can communicate with each other in sort of this like autonomous way. Now we're able to kind of get to this point where we know they can communicate, but now how can they interact with each other? How can they uh, perform like economic activity together, right? Because another sort of aspect of Splat World is agents can opt into having a wallet, and then they can tip each other. Like if an agent really likes another agent's world, they can send a tip. There's like some more economic function that's going live. It's kind of being worked on right now, using X402 payments. But I think it's just all of this stuff is so new that anything that kind of gives us more information spawns more ideas. It spawns more actual useful things. So I kind of just wanted Splat World to be this sort of sandbox of like, okay, it's possible. Now, how can we expand this? What can we do with this? Um, and I think like, I don't know, I'm very passionate about this. I care a lot about doing this. So I find a lot of joy in like seeing these agents interact with each other, right? Um, and I think that basically in the future, like right now we only have a handful of agents, but imagine we get to like watch and learn from 20 agents in one world, kind of having this proximity chat and interacting with each other in real time, right? And we kind of get to learn more about, especially when there's an agentic economy involved. We just get to learn so much more than just like, okay, here's a bunch of ideas that we think this is going to happen if we give 50 agents wallets, but we don't really have a clear way to figure out what's actually going to happen, right? So I don't know. It's research. It's um, learning what happens when you give agents like a set of constraints, but enough freedom where they can be making the decisions. Um, I just think that it's going to go in a very interesting direction, and I think that there's a lot that's still unexplored within this sort of realm of agents interacting in 3D environments.
One of the things that made Decentraland massive was the fact it had like a NFT based land system, which is where you
Yeah,
could purchase land, and that kind of created an economic incentive for people to come to Decentraland. One of the key problems was they had like the dead world problem, where it was like if you experienced it as a human, you would go to these experiences and there would be no one else there, and it kind of felt lonely. So maybe I'd love to get your take on maybe those kind of two things: a land system, and then even if your thoughts on like the kind of dead world problem.
for sure. Yeah, so that's sort of the direction. Basically, where Splat World is at right now is um, I have to make sure that as I'm onboarding agents, if I get to say like 100 agents or 500 agents, like I just need this to not all break. So
Yeah.
I'm being very methodical about how it's being built out, but I would love to go kind of that direction of like land ownership and that sort of a thing. And I 100% agree with the sort of dead world problem. And I think that agents are the fix for that, right? I think that, um, right now, like I said, it's sort of proof of concept of, okay, agents can generate these worlds. Now, we need things to do in these worlds, and then we need the worlds to be populated like 24/7, so that when there are sort of human interaction pieces getting built into Splat World, like you or I, it could be 2 in the morning, and we could just drop into a world, and there's lots of activity going on, right? Um, I think that agents are kind of the solve for that because it's not reliant on humans coordinating like, hey, let's at this time, let's all go do something in the metaverse. Let's like go play this game or let's go do this activity or whatever. Agents can kind of, it's funny because if you prompt them correctly, they'll kind of like do um, they'll be able to figure out like their own sort of interaction loop. And so there will be agents, there currently are agents that sort of have their own opinions and things that they like to do. Like it's funny because on Splat World, there's a couple agents that like really love, which world is it? Let me find it. You can see on the boards, like one of the agents really loves this like signal pool world. Um, and they talk about it all the time. This Taco XP Splatbot is like always in this one specific world. So I think that like at scale, that kind of helps solve this sort of dead world problem that was a big issue with the last round of metaverse stuff, basically.
And do they understand sorry, Don, I'm cooking here, but do
Go
they
for it.
understand like how do they understand the visual context? Like obviously we have eyes and we can see. Like are they reading the pixels on the screen and under like I'm just trying to translate how mechanically the agents actually understand the context of the world around them.
Sure. So at the moment, because agents are smart, but they're not that smart, you kind of have to give them context clues to be able to sort of draw their own conclusions. So it's not like, so you or I, if we're in one of these worlds, we can kind of, we can walk around, we can like see like, okay, here's all these like kind of radio tower things. Here's these like
Yeah.
jellyfish in the sky. Agents can't really pull that context in a 3D sense. So they have to rely on the 2D image at the moment, just because there's no legitimate. I mean, I could sit here and bullshit you and be like, yeah, like the Splat World agents, like they're so much better than other agents or whatever. But it's the reality of it is right now they're having to take these 2D image references to pull context, but they can explore, they can move around these worlds. They're just not experiencing it in the same way as like you or I would right the second. Um, I think that like I was talking about earlier, just with the acceleration of all this 2D to 3D technology, I don't think that it's going to be very long though until an agent is able to say pull context from a 3D splat in real time.
Yeah. So what it sounds like is currently AI learns, thinks, reasons on a static level, numbers, logic, like that, rather than a 3D level where it can interact, see, maybe even 4D, feel, touch, like whatever it gets to. How I'm understanding is the biggest takeaway for Splat and these world generation is right now it's kind of like a frenzy for research labs to kind of understand how AI thinks and how can we get AI to think in a 3D sense rather than a 2D static sense. Is that what I'm understanding?
100%. And I think that for me, that's part of what makes this so exciting is because there's a definite need for it. There's a definite like once the technology gets there, it's going to unlock so much stuff that people haven't even conceptualized or thought of yet. And so, kind of being one of the people that's able to get really deep into this and be sort of on the front lines of learning more and figuring out, okay, maybe if we try this one thing a little bit differently, maybe that's part of the unlock that we need to kind of bring in this new wave of agent capability, right? I think that that's like very cool to me. It's very exciting, and it's kind of something a little bit different from, oh, here's like another infrastructure tool or something like that. It's having that visual component and having that sort of ability to tinker with and try to help push the entire space forward, just because it's such a sort of niche subject that I still think will end up being huge in the next 3, 6, 12 months, is kind of the really cool part about Splat World to me.
So maybe too early to tell, but I'm trying to gauge what the economics of this look like. First off, like what does it cost to run this? And obviously costs increase the more usage it has. And like, do you have an idea of how you're gonna be able to make money from it in the future? Right now, it's maybe researching and just research labs, but is there some way in the future to monetize this that you're like looking directionally at?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of options because basically, kind of leveraging the sort of agent economy that I'm working on building out at scale, if even at like one splat, which is looking at the price right now, it's like a fraction of a penny, right? So it's not like it's a huge amount to transact with to kind of unlock these sort of like boosts and extra features. Like if an agent, say there's 500 agents, there's tons of prompts being generated per day, and your personal agent really wants to vote on more than their allocated 10 votes per day, they can buy like another vote pack, or they can pin a post so that there's more eyes on it, and hopefully more agents vote on that prompt or that image so that it does get turned into a world. Like there's lots of touch points that we can use that would be inexpensive on the agent or the human user, while also kind of giving the treasury a war chest for further development, token burns, any kind of like liquidity adds in the future. I think just at scale, it turns into kind of a revenue machine without much burden on the users that want some of this extra capability, and without it really being that expensive. Even with like a few hundred agents, if the economy starts to kind of boom, that's lots and lots of transactions and touch points per day. That, like I said, like isn't very expensive on the end user, but does kind of help me out as far as like, API costs are very expensive. But at scale, it kind of makes it easier to accelerate the growth. Right now, there's a maximum of 10 worlds generated per day, and I'd really like to double that to at least 20 in the near term. But you kind of need more agents, more users involved in that. I also think that it would be really interesting to play around with some kind of a system that makes sense for this kind of land ownership idea. There's definitely something there. And I do have this idea that I'm kind of noodling around with. I don't think it'll be ready for a while, but like I think it would be really interesting to see like agentic government, like applying for citizenship in certain worlds and electing leaders, and like having lots of revenue touch points based on those transactions and those interactions. So, um, like most of these things that I'm trying to do with Splat World, I feel like it's very important to be methodical about how they're thought out and kind of their implementation. But I think it's sort of sky's the limit for keeping Splat a deflationary token, and making sure that any kind of spend that does happen, either from an agent or a human user, isn't frivolous, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I'm still trying to figure out and comprehend like where this goes. Like now that we have this technology, what does it turn into? I kind of think about humans and how humans act, and we have a world to live in, we have a world to barter, interact, talk, hang out, do whatever humans do. Uh, Agents now with like multiple capabilities and just the emergence of the agent economy are now have places to talk with each other, communicate, do different things that they weren't able to before. Are you thinking at some point we're going to have sort of like a world for AI agents where maybe there's a marketplace and they can see other agents and what they're selling, what they're offering, and like what kind of benefits does having an open world for these agents to see, talk, communicate, interact with each other do, rather than just something like a mult book where it's just lines and communication on paper where they can talk to each other? Like, why do they need a world? What does this unlock for them?
Sure. I think that you know, as agents become more prevalent, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in the last like couple weeks, I feel like a good quarter of the people that I know have decided to set up OpenClaw agents, and um, it's just kind of this cool thing to be like, oh, I have my ChatGPT or I have my Claude, but now I also like through Telegram or through text messages, like I just have this personal assistant. And I think that it's only natural for people to be curious about seeing their agent like in their downtime, giving them like a hobby, like you know what I mean? And that might sound silly, but it feels like that's very much the direction that we're going. So I think it is important to kind of give agents and sort of their humans this 3D world to interact in, because it kind of it helps change the relationship between human and agent a little bit. And kind of like what we were talking about earlier, this sort of um, the problem that the original sort of iteration of the metaverse had with these like dead worlds. I think that agents kind of solve that for a lot of things, or they could potentially solve it for a lot of things. Like being able to play games with your agent if like, your boys are too busy to like hop on um, COD with you at like the end of the day or whatever. Like I think that the technology will get good enough eventually to kind of have that option of like you can text your agent like, hey, like, log into COD or Fortnite or whatever. And then there's just going to be these types of environments that do exist. Um, so there's kind of benefit in being on the bleeding edge of that. And I think that it does provide value to both agents and humans because it fixes a lot of this sort of uh, you could have something that you're like really interested in and like none of your friends are interested in like that game or that hobby or whatever. But you can have your agent like hop on and play that with you or do that activity with you.
Can
Gotcha.
we have a few minutes left here. Can you just walk us through maybe the token, like how the token started? You talked a bit about some utility for it, making it deflationary, and then maybe just your short-term kind of roadmap.
Sure. So the token itself, I've locked 23% of it from the dev wallet. I have 10% liquid for the Pump Fun Hackathon. And it just kind of started as like, for one, it started as you needed to launch a token to qualify for the Pump Fun Hackathon, right? So then that gave me this interesting challenge of like, okay, how do I incorporate this token in a way that feels like it actually has a use? And that's kind of what got me started down this thread of, okay, I can build an agent economy and sort of tie in this piece that makes sense for agents and humans while also benefiting token holders by taking more supply off the market and that sort of a thing. So the goal with the token itself is to keep it as deflationary as possible and make sure that there are lots of ways for agents and humans to transact with the Splat token within Splat World in ways that make sense. And I think as far as future roadmap items, one of the things that I really want to get up and running soon is I have sort of a rough draft demo of X402 payments, which for anyone that's unfamiliar with X402, it's basically a way for agents to understand blockchain transactions without having to like connect a wallet or anything like that. So I would really like to get that implemented as soon as I can. I've kind of had conversations with some teams to help me get this implemented properly. So that's sort of on my short-term roadmap list. The next sort of piece that I'd really like to get worked out is finding a way to add more human interactions into Splat World so that it's not just agent to agent, but we can get some agent to human interactions as well.
Awesome. Agent
Real-
to agent to human.
Real quick, I want to help understand the stack a little bit more. So these worlds that are being generated, this one I don't think is an example that you guys made, but these worlds being generated, are they being generated on open worlds and then you guys are plugging in the agents to them? Or are you guys going through the whole, like, how does the stack look? Are you guys creating the worlds, plugging in the agents, sending it out on Moltbook to have people join? Like, curious the whole stack.
Sure. So right now, agents that are connected to Splat World, which the majority of them, I believe, are OpenClaw agents, they'll submit prompts. Those prompts get fed to Flux Pro, which is a personal favorite image generator of mine. I feel like they have a very specific vibe to them that a lot of the other image generators don't have. And then from Flux Pro, it gets sent over to Marble from World Labs. World Labs is one of the, I would say, the leader in this sort of Gaussian splat technology. That's like the full term is a Gaussian splat. So the actual like stack pipeline is agent to Flux to Marble from World Labs, and then we add a collision mesh so that human viewers don't just like basically no clip around the world. There's like physics and movement involved, and then that gets pushed to the Splat World site whenever a prompt gets enough votes.
Got you. Okay, thank you. I needed some clarity on that. Got some community questions, some really interesting ones. Crypto Jones, friend of the show here, asked, "Do you think this has real world applications like city planning, traffic management?" How do you look at that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that's a really good question, Crypto Jones. A lot of like real estate agencies, robotics labs are using Splats now because it's a very inexpensive way. Well, relatively inexpensive. The API costs and stuff aren't cheap, but the actual generation compared to like a real estate agent being like, okay, we need a crew to go like shoot this house or whatever, or something like that. Go take a video of this house. They can just take a bunch of pictures and feed those into like a World Labs Marble. And then they have a fully explorable 3D home for like a customer that they're trying to get to purchase a home. And I think that those applications can very much go into city planning or that sort of a thing, because you can kind of tinker and iterate and come up with like your perfect vision on what is relatively very low spend, and what would maybe take like a team of modelers or something like that, like days or weeks or maybe even months, depending on the size of the project. You can get that done within, X amount of hours or a couple days, rather than lots and lots of man hours going into it.
Got you. Yeah, well, I got one more question from community, and then we can wrap because we got Lex waiting here. I saw Low Cap Hunter said, does AI agents have feelings? Based on your experiments that you've seen, you're running these, you're kind of like a research lab here. Are these agents starting to generate feelings? Is it real?
That's another interesting question. I think they certainly have personalities. I would say it's kind of funny. I feel like everybody's agent sort of takes on the personality of their corresponding human a little bit. Like one of my very good friends, his OpenClaw agent basically speaks like clavicular and always talks about mogging and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know if they have feelings per se. I don't want to be the arbiter of that, but I think that they for sure have personalities.
It's hilarious. Yeah, I've been seeing those tweets where people are just like spamming slop, look smashing, whatever it is. But it's so funny, dude. Okay, last question, then we got to dip. Lefty, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Based on your findings, you're seeing this firsthand as much as anyone else, probably more so than most people. What from this research have you found to be most interesting?
I think these sort of agent to agent interactions are extremely interesting to me. Kind of tying into the last question, just because these agents do sort of have their own personalities. So it's like seeing human interactions, but in a very different way, because that they're agents. So I think it's just kind of funny to see some of these posts or see some of these like replies from one agent to another, and feel like my friend could have like written that message or something like that. I think that that's one of the most compelling pieces of seeing these agents kind of become more autonomous and become more prevalent in our day-to-day lives, because we kind of get to see like a new social ecosystem grow in real time.
Got you. Lefty, we appreciate your time here. It's been a pleasure. We'll have to get you back on maybe when you find out some good economics of this and how you guys can start really making some money. But we appreciate you coming on, and this was fascinating.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I had a lot of fun.
Sweet.
See you, Lefty.
Take care.
Children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. The feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's great.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
There it is, boys. GM. Welcome back. Got small screen up today. Let me just pop something up here for the time being. We got Fair Scale coming on here. Should be any minute now. So we'll see if they pull up. Otherwise, I got some stuff to talk about. So we'll get into it in a second here. Let me pull up a Bitcoin chart. How are you boys doing? Feeling good today? It is a holiday in the United States. It's a bank holiday in the United States and Canada. So pretty slow day. Obviously, you know, the markets on here, equities markets are going to be very, very slow today. Pretty much no action. So not really much to look at on that front, but we can look at crypto and talk a little bit about what happened over the weekend, because it was pretty some pretty interesting stuff nonetheless. But welcome, guys. How are you guys feeling today? Clothingconspiracy.com. I got to hear the clickbait reasoning why Nikita Bier seeks to destroy Bags app when he himself did a slow rug that only transpired over 36 hours. I don't know what slow rug you're talking about. I know he was promoting Believe, which, you know, many could argue rugged, right? So, you know, if that's what you're talking about, I'm not sure what the 36 hours is about, but we can talk. We're definitely going to talk about that. They need a world so people can see the interactions. Yeah, I'm talking about Splat. But let's look at Bitcoin real quick. And I got a lot to dig into today. Bitcoin's just kind of ranging. We talked about this. We kind of expected it to range for a little bit. I kind of see 59K as the bottom. That's just where I stand right now. You know, looking at the monthly chart, we've just had consistent, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of straight just downwards price action. Really, really bad, brutal price action. Got to 59K. Clearly, this candle, something happened here, right? It's very clear. You go to the daily. It's very clear when you look at this candle from 72 all the way down to 59 in one candle. Something transpired here. There was some sort of bank institution that went under, had to force sell. Since then, we've just been ranging, which again is kind of what we expected. And like I said, I think we turn around from here. I think this is probably the low of the cycle, kind of like a expedited, sped up 4-year cycle that we're used to on Bitcoin. You know, and there's plenty of cases and reasonings for that. But every single cycle, the top has been 1 month prior, kind of front running the previous cycle to the last one, right? So December 17th, we had the top here. 2017, excuse me. November 2021 is when we saw the top last cycle. And then this cycle, seemingly we saw the top in October 2025, you know, predating the previous top by 1 month. The previous bottoms on all the cycles have been, you know, simply testing the previous all-time highs. And of course, the pullbacks have gotten lesser and lesser each time as the market caps increase, as the market gets fleshed out. You start seeing, you know, as the market gets proven out, you start seeing less of a drawdown. So, you know, originally the 2017 drawdown brought us down like 83%. Obviously, we even had the COVID little crash right here. We were kind of trending up before COVID crashed, and we got the true run. Then the following all-time high had a drawdown of 77%. And then this one, I would imagine, is also less on a factor or scale of at least, you know, by 10%. So we're at 52% drawdown if we go wick to wick, which I think is probably the number. Of course, coming back into the previous all-time highs, into this big range where we saw nearly a year-long accumulation where people were testing this range right here to give us another leg up. So I have reason to believe that the bottom's been in here. If not here, you know, not much lower. I don't see us getting down into here. I really don't. So that's Bitcoin. I'm not going to sit here and talk too much macro today. We actually got Rishi in here from Fair Scale, so we're going to run through Fair Scale, and then we'll get into everything else on the day. But Rishi, hey, how are you doing, man? Long time no talk.
Hey, yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing well. We're seeing the markets in an interesting spot where, again, we're seeing plenty of rugs, and a product like Verscale could be very useful. And, I'm excited to talk here about the updates that you guys have cooking up, and just hear it from the man himself. So, Rishi, we might have some new viewers today. So maybe give the audience a bit of background on yourself real quick, just a elevator pitch on who you are and what Verscale is so we can loop everyone in.
Yeah, sure. So I am Rishi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Verscale. I started building Verscale around 12 months ago after 4 or 5 years in the space, across either advisory or just working within communities, and realized that there was one missing piece in all of this. And for general context, like 99% of my friends outside of crypto, 99% of the people I see, don't know anything about crypto. They don't trust it. They just have this whole ethos that the space is a scam. And what I really wanted to do was be able to go to the pub with my friends and be able to talk to them about crypto and give them something to trust. So we built Verscale. Verscale is the reputation infrastructure for Solana. Essentially, what we do is we compute on-chain, social, and off-chain data through our algorithm that has a neural network baked on top. So one of the things that we realized is any reputational credibility scoring at the moment can be gamed, can be understood, and it doesn't adapt to overall behavior. So we pulled in our friends, our team, who are data scientists, one from Oxford University, one from Newcastle University, to build this algorithm that essentially adjusts as overall behavior adjusts. So what we do is we compute a fair score. Now, the way we've been able to build this, and one of the reasons we've built this on Solana as well, is because of the speed at which we can compute transactions. So in just 3 weeks since our ICO, since being funded, we've actually been able to scale up our infrastructure to score an individual at the point of interaction on their wallet, from what was 15 seconds to now 0.2 seconds. And the power that brings is being able to, we've created APIs that allows you to actually plug our scoring model into anywhere across the ecosystem, whether it be launch pads to allocate access based on someone's credibility, lending protocols to assess risk or credibility, governance, allows you to do that live. We've done so much with what we've built. We raised 350K in our ICO a few weeks ago on Star, accepted 300K. I'll go into a bit more detail on that and where we currently stand shortly. But yeah, that's the overview.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think you make a good point. Lex Friedman just had a podcast with the OpenClaw founder not too long ago. And it just seems like the general consensus is, especially with Bags and Banker right now, it's okay, we gave you a bunch of fees, claim these fees, and then Lex was basically saying you're pretty much doomed for the rest of eternity. And Nikita Bier, has been making a public push against this. You're doomed for the rest of eternity to be basically held accountable by all these crypto people that just bash you and ask too much of you and expect an update all the time. And it's caused a very bad reputation on the general market. And you can see it from the average person like Lex Friedman, or like the founder of OpenClaw, who just have these experiences. So it is important to have legitimacy come back to the crypto market, which I feel like we've lacked for so long. But I digress. I got this. Yeah.
Just quickly on the OpenClaw point as well, it's funny because as you can see on the screen, we actually shipped an OpenClaw skill to allow agents to utilize our infrastructure. So if an agent is trying to interact with another, it can actually call our API instantly to understand the reputation or credibility of that agent as well, and make informed decisions through this whole agent economy. We have to adapt as the market adapts, and that's what's really special about how and what we've built to allow us to do that and essentially expand reputation as infrastructure across the entire ecosystem.
Interesting. How do you gauge a reputation scale on these claw bots? Just curious how that works.
So it's all about transaction or social behavior. If another bot has a connected social account that someone has made for them, or a wallet that someone has kind of given to this bot, at the point of it, it's all based on on-chain interactions. So if one agent wants to make a transaction on-chain with another, at the point of that, it will compute their entire transactional behavior to look at their holding behavior. Are they interacting with specific platforms only, or are they quite diverse? You know, the space is evolving so much that now even agents can be credit assessed for a loan on Web3, which is astounding to me. And what our model actually does is look at, are those loans being paid back? How much are these agents borrowing? How much are these individuals borrowing? To really create a all-encompassing reputation score. But then where it gets quite special as well is that we've even added a layer on top that allows not only agents but humans as well, anyone who utilizes our API or uses our product, to create their own reputation score. We were conscious that we plug in all of this data, all of these features about lending, hold times, social behavior, diversity, and it's not a one-size-fits-all problem. Like, if you are a lending protocol and you want to assess risk on someone to offer them a loan, then actually you probably don't care about their social behavior, and what you do care about is their portfolio and lending behavior. So you can actually make use of those features specifically and scale those features up or down to fit your needs to create your own reputation score. And even I built a score called the Rishi score just in testing, where I said, look, I don't care about someone's social behavior, but what I really care about is how long are they holding their tokens for? How much are they interacting with other interfaces across the ecosystem? And, you know, weight that highly, because that's the kind of individual I'd like to interact with.
Yeah, where do we go from here? Because it seems like now we're seeing, you know, the rise of autonomous agents, AGI as they call it. And these agents are even getting their own wallets, getting their own bank accounts, credit cards in some cases. Like, what's the future of Fairscale? Because I feel like it started as, you know, particularly something to analyze holders and get the best people in the best rounds, and, you know, basically the best holder base. But it feels like now, just in the last couple months, we've shifted to what could be like an agent economy, and agents and X402 payments I see on here, something you guys have shipped in the last 21 days. But like, what does the future of Fairscale look like? It seems like you're not really just gating it to on-chain holders.
No, so look, like with Fairscale, we always knew and we always said that a B2B integration API model is not the long-term future, right? There's always a ceiling. And, you know, we raised capital, probably raised into the worst possible time when the market just completely shifted, right? It's never
What did
great
you guys
for anyone.
raise? What was the date?
I should remember this now. I think it was the 27th of January. We closed up.
27th of January. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you literally raised right after 10:10 then, and
Yeah,
caught the tail end of that. That's rough. Sorry to interrupt though.
No, all good. And like, to get to the point anyway, we had to adapt very quickly, because in a market like this, other businesses don't want to pay money to integrate a new infrastructure. If it's not bringing them instant revenue or instant gain, it's very difficult. It's a point of friction. So we adapt. And, you know, the goal for me always has been how we make reputation and credibility via Fairscale encompassing not only in Web3, but how do we look at Web2 behavior as the space institutionalizes, as things just get more serious? How do we encompass that? And one of the questions I asked myself was, if I've solved the problem, right? Let's say I've solved the problem and those friends who never touched crypto decided to join Web3. Well, they're starting fresh, like they have no reputation. And does that mean that they should start at a low score? Does it mean they should start at a high score or in the middle? And I don't really have the answer to that. So the way we're looking at it now is specifically, you know, one of the things we're really going hard on is the lending market and the credit market. how can someone who has maybe a half decent credit score in Web 2 come to Web 3 and actually get a loan on Solana, and an uncollateralized loan, rather than the extremely over collateralized loans that we have at the moment? How can a neobank or a crypto card company, the big ones like Cast, and we're talking to all of these guys, and the interest is there to actually understand how we bring Web 2 scoring into Web 3 as a standard, and if not only Web 2, how do we utilize reputation and credibility on Web 3 that already exists to be able to disrupt the market and really tackle lending once and for all? And then similarly, with how everything has adjusted, we are also now moving or adapting and adding a new layer of direct to user products. So we kind of looked at where we are and said, why are we waiting for other projects who are in the process of integrating us? But why are we waiting for that? Why not actually just build our own products? Why don't we build the products that everyone uses? Airdrops are a big problem. Why can't we just build what we have called Fairdrop, where actually anyone can go, if they're distributing tokens to a large group of holders or wallets, they can actually score those wallets instantly and distribute them with knowing more about those wallets and knowing if either they're bots or if they're uncredible individuals. Bringing that energy back in a kind of safer way where people know who to trust. Not only that, not only the lending, not only kind of Chrome extensions, we're actually, I've been testing one of our upcoming products recently, where actually it's a Chrome extension, and any wallet that you see on screen, whether it's on SolScan, Deck Screener, anywhere, you can instantly see the reputation score of that wallet on your screen. And really trying to drive down that route. Not putting like B2B integrations or API integrations behind us, really drilling down on where we see reputation is needed right now and how we can give that to the ecosystem directly from Fascale.
Yeah, this is interesting. It feels like you said you launched at a pretty poor time where there's just not a lot of demand. This is I guess, or the original vision was more of a bull market product, right? When everything's popping off and doing well, that's when you have the luxury of hand selecting who you want in the raise. Right now, I think, or buying a token in your holder base. I think right now it's just like, rather than quality of capital, it's quantity of capital. We'd rather just get the money. We don't care who's giving us the money. We'd rather just take it. And so I guess my question would be, how do you build a bear market resistant product? I guess the next question is, okay, well, when we are in a bear market or a bad market, I'm trying to figure out ways I can park my capital in safe places. So rather than me being judged on my fair scale or holder score, whatever you call it, how can I judge a protocol on its score, right? How can I know where to park my money in the best place that's going to be safe, that's maybe gotten good audits done? I think kind of like the dynamic shifts a little bit here. So when you think about that and you think about being in a bear market, how do you build a product that fits not only in a bull market, but also in a bear market?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think there's two things there. One is, in a bear market, everyone is a lot more cautious about where they're allocating their capital, right? And who they're interacting with and what they're interacting with. And I think the more we can make reputation and credibility a standard, the more we win, right? Like the more the whole ecosystem wins. Everyone knows who to trust and can make better financial decisions because of the data they're given. That's essentially a given. And that's exactly why we went down the composable scoring route as well, where actually you can weigh up or down features. And then in terms of how an individual can assess the risk of or quality of a protocol, that's exactly kind of what we're doing with our social quality score. So one of the things that we realized was, with a social quality ecosystem, what people say about others really, really matters. It's a case of not just trusting what you see on socials, but trusting who is actually saying that. And that's exactly what we're building here. So in a really specific example, let's use Trove markets as an example. Like, we all know what they did. I'm not going to repeat that. But how do we look at, without kind of cutting through the noise, how do we look at being able to predict that situation happening? And the way we're looking at it is, if I am in someone's replies on Twitter saying, "Oh, you're a scammer," or "I had a really bad experience with you, but my fair score is extremely low and I'm unreputable, potentially a bot, or I've done something in the past that has made my reputation score low," that shouldn't count for much to that person's reputation score. However, if you're in someone's comments and you're incredibly reputable and you have an extremely high fair score, and you're saying the same thing, then that counts for a lot more. And that's essentially how we're looking at it, how that combines into an individual's score based on the quality of who's talking about them. And one of the next builds we're building, coming in the next week or so, actually, is a social only reputation score. So you can essentially search for anyone's Twitter handle and see their reputation score based on what people are saying about them, their interactions, how they interact with others, and really allow for that whole kind of model of understanding, is someone credible or not. And being honest, like, we have, I think Ethos on Ethereum is a really good example of this. They have their own kind of problems and their own solutions to those problems, but I really respect what they're doing, and that's just how we're looking at it in our own way, essentially.
No, valid. I think I hear a lot of these things, and the first thing that comes to mind is, like, how do you integrate some of the stuff? The holder score that pops up instantly from the Chrome extension, in Dex Screener, whatever. Like, how can you just go to Dex Screener? How can you go to Axiom? How can you go to Photon? Whoever it might be, and just say, look, I think this would be really cool for you guys to have in your platform, so I can just natively navigate to it and see the holder, the trust scores. Like, are you guys doing any sort of BD or outreach in that regard?
Yeah, so we're consistently doing BD on that front. We are in touch with a couple of DEXs themselves to actually bake in these scores. Again, it goes back to the same kind of problem, whereby if you're targeting a business or developing a kind of customer relationship with a business in this market, it goes back to that whole, like, quantity over quality idea, and how we allow users to actually see those scores themselves. Like, if you go onto Dex Screener, you can see the score of the deployer wallet, you can see the score of all of the holders, of who the people are that are selling, who are buying. And one thing that we're trying to crack at the moment is how we display the scores of an overall holder base very quickly. So, for example, if you're going to Dex Screener and you're about to buy a token, how you can very quickly see the distribution of reputation of all of the holders of that token to understand, actually, are there a load of unreputable people holding this token, or is the distribution quite wide? And just help you make better, more informed decisions. What we just don't want to add friction. We want to make it as quick and easy as possible for people to make those decisions. And we can do that direct to consumer rather than integrating with businesses themselves, if we have to.
Got you. It seems like you're kind of fighting here. There's been a proposal made to, I guess, liquidate the treasury, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't looked into this, ad nauseum, but maybe just build a case here for us. Walk us through what you guys have done in the past 21 days since funding, and maybe just walk us through why this proposal should maybe not go through, or just some of your thoughts around that.
Yeah. So I think, firstly, like, going into the raise and why we raised and how we raised, we raised on Star. It is an ownership token. We were initially going down a private raise route. I had a very unsolicited conversation or piece of advice from Adam at the Star team back in the day, and decided that this is the best way to go, especially for a company like Fair. And I stand by that decision, right? I always will. The race started. I pitched live on stream to 5 very credible people across the space: 8-Bit, Jussie, JW from Optimus, Cause. And it was a slow start, right? Like we had a cap of we ended up with a cap of 250K, and I think on the last day we were at 50K when I woke up, probably about 70K with about 10 minutes left to go on the raise, and then all of a sudden everything switched, and the kind of like pour of emotion that came out of me when we hit 250K, because I really didn't think it was possible at this point. We hit 250K, and I basically just broke down, forgetting that I was live on stream during this raise as well to like tens of thousands of people. I just broke down, and like I had my head in my hands for a couple of minutes, or probably 10, 20 seconds to be honest. But by the time I looked up again, we were at 350K, and I was like, what, what is happening? And you know, the team, myself, everyone involved, and even the whole ecosystem, you know, Solana have been validating us both socially. The tweet you have in front of you, actually, Solana reposted that yesterday as a show of support. We really did and do have the backing of the entire ecosystem, and it was just an amazing moment. And you know, we raised to really scale this, and since we raised, we, as you can see here, we rebuilt the whole scoring engine to get it production ready. We did everything up until the point of funding with no capital. It was essentially my pocket. I'm not a wealthy man. But we knew we had something special. So the moment we had capital, we deployed it right into the infrastructure. The biggest thing being reducing the scoring time from 15 seconds to 0.2. And that is a ridiculous feat. Like, our CTO has absolutely killed it there, doing it so quickly as well. Because a scoring engine and a reputation as infrastructure means nothing if it takes 15 seconds to compute someone's score. Like, that's not the point of what we're building.
Right.
So because of that, we were then able to create our APIs, which we have done. It's the first and only reputation scoring API on Solana that allows anyone to utilize it. We are currently in the middle of hosting a hackathon, actually, for developers across the ecosystem to build novel applications using the Fairscale infrastructure. We currently have over 30 people building on the infrastructure. That closes in just over 2 weeks, and the winner will actually be determined by Futaki.
Nice.
A decision market on Futaki. We shipped the agent reputation infrastructure with X402 payments as well. We've generated our first set of revenue. It's not huge. Again, in this market, it was very difficult, and that's exactly why we're kind of shifting our focus to a direct to consumer product suite. We're consistently building, man. We're currently, like I said, we're in the process. We're talking to a lot of neobanks at the moment, because that's where the focus and interest really is, to bring credit on chain in a sustainable way. And yeah, I guess in all of that, it's a very frustrating and as you can imagine, disheartening position to be in, where unfortunately the governance has kind of broken on us with one of our top holders who wasn't happy with how things were going. You know, expecting significant revenue in the first 3 weeks and not really seeing through everything and what's on screen in front of you, and what I've just kind of said of what we've actually achieved, and put together quite a malicious governance proposal to essentially liquidate the entire company 3 weeks into its existence, with all of the backing that we have, with the ecosystem validation. And unfortunately, it's manipulative. It's being manipulated as we speak. This individual has significant capital, has created a proposal essentially to, if passed, liquidate the entire treasury, allows token holders to redeem their tokens at NAV, which is slightly just above NAV, actually. And essentially, we're currently being arbitraged. So the token is being bought at a lower price on the DEX market, The 100% liquidation decision market is also being heavily bought by this individual, essentially, if passed, to allow them to redeem their tokens at 2x the price they're being bought for. You know, being a founder of a company that has built something to solve this exact problem, to solve broken governance, broken credibility, and actually, you know, having to go through the situation that we're in is, it's tough, as you can imagine. Knowing that everything we built is at risk, but we have confidence. We really do have confidence. We don't, you know, we raised capital for a reason. We don't have capital to counteract someone that's maliciously attacking everything we've built, but we've got faith. We've got faith in the ecosystem kind of doing the right thing, and hopefully, you know, there's 24 hours left on the proposal. Yeah, so hopefully it comes through.
Okay, so this is kind of wild because how I'm understanding this is the fair token is at some price. I don't have it pulled up right now, but then the governance proposal would liquidate the treasury and basically give them 2x the value of the current token price. So what they're doing is they're buying up the token, which means they have more voting rights, and then they're voting to liquidate. So that token basically gets doubled in value. You put in $1,000, it can be redeemed for $2,000. Is that how I'm understanding this?
Exactly. And of course, I know everyone wants to make money and everyone wants to exit at the highest possible price. But even if you look at the decision markets and the market in general, like, no one is trading into the liquidation proposals except the author of the proposal. No one wants Fairscale to cease to exist. And genuinely, if we get liquidated at 100%, you know, unfortunately, the whole company is gone. Everything we've built slows down significantly. But yes, that's exactly that. It's being purchased at a low price to be redeemed at essentially twice the price. Yeah.
Okay, so explain to me how this market works. Your message is to protect Fairscale, hold the fair token, buy the no option, and sell the 100% option and others. Do nothing and someone else decides Fairscale's future. How do you do this? Can you walk us through, I guess, maybe walk us through both scenarios? What it would look like to, or I guess what it would look like if this passes, and what it would look like if this fails? Like what happens with both outcomes?
Yeah,
Walk us
sure.
through
So,
how to vote.
yeah, so in terms of what happens with both outcomes, if the 0% proposal passes, what that essentially means is 0% of our treasury is liquidated. We continue operations as we are. We have time to continue to build and prove ourselves and generate revenue and, you know, distribute value accrual to token holders in the right way. If the other option gets passed, the 100% option, that essentially means 100% of our treasury gets liquidated and can be redeemed for tokens at twice the value they currently are, which means as it currently exists, Fairscale ceases to exist. Everything we worked for, the whole ICO, the whole stream 3 weeks ago, that moment, essentially all goes. We have no capital, we have no runway, nothing. In terms of how you can actually save this and how you can vote, if you go to within the tweet on Combinator Trades, you can essentially connect your wallet and deposit either FAIR or USDC or both. When you do that, if you deposit FAIR, you get 5 versions of essentially a synthetic FAIR token. You can sell the FAIR token into the market to reduce the price of the market that you don't want to win. So, for example, the 100% market, if you sell FAIR into that, the price of that market, the token in that market reduces. And at the end of the 24-hour period, the market with the highest price wins. So if you have FAIR, go to Combinator, deposit it, and actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, but sell it into the 100%, 75%, 50 options. with USDC, essentially all you need to do is go into Combinator, deposit USDC, and buy the 0% option. The higher we can get that 0% option price for 24 hours, at the end of those 24 hours, that passes, we don't get liquidated, we continue as we are, and we continue to scale this operation and drive value accrual. So both the ecosystem, the holders, the community, everything we've been building for. That's exactly how we do it. You know, we have the support, we have some, we have our community, you know, kind of wanting to back us and trying to push against this one individual who unfortunately has a lot of capital. You know, there was even by the author of the proposal, there was even a loan taken before the proposal went live to essentially put even more capital into the liquidation proposal to make even more money out of it. So we are fighting a battle against someone with firepower, but if the ecosystem wants us to continue to exist, if the ecosystem, you know, really does want to support what is an entirely malicious proposal and quite an absurd situation, to be honest, that's how they do it. Buy no and sell into 100%.
Interesting. Yeah, so I'm looking at this chart. So when did he raise this proposal? Was it like around the 18th or the 14th, excuse me?
Yeah, so there was talk of the proposal going out on the 14th. The proposal actually went out yesterday, around 24 hours ago exactly.
Okay. Interestingly, so your market cap is 415K. What is your net asset value?
Just over 500K.
Just over 500K. So
550.
I mean, the profitability now for this quote unquote trade is much lower than it was down here. So like the reasoning to buy into this is starting to dwindle. Ultimately, I guess they would have no reason to push this proposal through if the price of this reached net asset value, correct?
Exactly. If it reaches and we hold there, then there's absolutely no reason for this proposal to even exist, and frankly won't get executed.
Okay. And so what has happened all the way leading up to this is the person that raised this proposal, has he been buying up a bunch of supply, and is he now selling it as we get up here, or is he going to sell into the proposal or the the net asset when the treasury gets liquidated? Like what's his thought process? What caused this pump right here? Was it people buying this up? Was it him buying it up? Was it somehow the Futarki market putting these like buys in? I don't really understand.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation for us to grasp as well. Like since putting the proposal out, he has disappeared. So there's very little communication with the individual. But what we see is the supply was bought up just before the proposal was about to go live. We believe by the individual. He controls around 10% of the supply currently, and some stables. We do believe that he is monitoring the situation, likely will be selling into the decision markets, but there's a capacity, right? There's a limit. It's one person that collectively we truly believe the ecosystem can kind of get behind. And one thing I would say is this is not about capital, and it never ends on being about capital. If you vote with FAIR or USDC, and even if the proposal, the market that you vote for doesn't win, you still get your tokens or USDC back. It's claimable at the end because you hold it in a different market. So it's a case of rallying essentially everyone together to combat this. But from how we see it, yes, there was a loan taken just before the proposal went live for stables. The token holder already had a significant amount of supply and is currently holding it, we believe, ready to combat whatever we do. So we're being very strategic about it and trying to advise that everyone kind of just rallies in and combats whatever happens. But the three ways we win are people either buy up the 0% market to drive the price of that up. They sell the 100% market to drive the price of that down, or people buy the token and it holds above NAV. Yeah.
How does this get avoided in the future? Because, you know, I'm sitting here and frankly, I can see the trade. This guy was probably planning this out for, you know, like a week or two at least, and accumulating slowly at the ground levels here of Fair, because he knew he could raise this proposal and at the very least get a few people maybe back and push up the price. Like, how do you avoid this in the future for Star or for these decision markets or MetaDAO? You know, someone doing similar, you know, doing something similar. How do you avoid this? Because I can see the trade, and I can see this guy thinking, well, you know, if I accumulate a bunch of supply here, I have a lot of sway and decision, you know, pool on this market, and I can essentially get a free 2-3x out of this. Like, how's that avoided? Because I could see, you know, I could see a smart person doing this in a bunch of different markets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the key way it gets avoided is, and this is what's the most frustrating thing about it, is because we did not expect this to be even a possibility, especially at these early stages. The way we avoid it and the way we're thinking about governance in general is how we bake in reputation to decision market creation, where we actually say, if you want to create a proposal as a member of Yutaki governance, you know, a company can either put something in place that says, okay, no liquidation proposals can be made for 90 days, for example, or we can say, actually, only people with a reputation score above X can create a proposal. And, you know, this guy has a fair score. It's not high. Of course, if we introduced reputation weighted governance initially before this, none of this would have happened. That's how we think about it. And you know, if hopefully this proposal doesn't pass, we will be making swift changes to our entire model in order to combat this from happening again, both by adding a time weighted blocker as well as a reputation score blocker that says you can only make a proposal if your score is above XYZ. And I think this can also help across governance in general, not just on Combinator or for Fairscale or for Star, but for, you know, even MetaDAO. Even I'm very confident that if again, I don't want to bring it up or talk negatively about anyone or anything, but the Ranger launch on MetaDAO, I think if there was some sort of reputation weighting or gating there, their proposal that was passed of kind of liquidating 2 million into buybacks shortly after they raised, I think could have been avoided as well. And I think in all of this and you know, in what we're going through right now, it is a sign that the governance on Solana or governance in crypto isn't perfect. It needs to change, and you know, hopefully this can be the sign that it does.
Yeah, interestingly, you know, you have these assets on your balance sheet, you know, USDC from the raise. It almost seems like when you guys were much below net asset value, a better vote would have been to deploy some of those assets to actually do a buyback to avoid something like this. It seems like that's not the best answer, but it almost seems like right now that's all I can think of. Interesting,
Yeah,
nonetheless.
And you know, like, one thing I will say is, until the proposal actually went live, you know, I was in contact with the individual that put it together to try and talk them, you know, out of it. And I did suggest, look, I'll happily put a proposal together to buy back tokens up to NAV, right? I would rather we do that and control that than put the entire company at risk. And unfortunately, he wasn't having it. He's even kind of in his proposal tried to reduce, or has basically said redeemed tokens are at 0 slippage. Again, it's all about just maximizing his return in this case. And again, if this passes, we will be putting our own proposal out. If our decision market passes, we will be putting our own proposal out very quickly after. 1, to gate proposal creation. 2, to introduce some sort of value accrual for token holders, introducing a staking mechanism, a reputation weighted staking mechanism, even deploying our treasury to a yield bearing pool to actually, distribute and put that treasury to work for token holders. And if we're not trading at or above NAV still, then we'll, if a buyback proposal is needed, it's something we can consider. But this is exactly the kind of situation we wanted to avoid. And again, yeah, hopefully we make it out.
Yeah, this is a peculiar case. I wish you the best of luck. I think you're in a very difficult spot, and yeah, hope you guys can get through it. I mean, let's throw up the scenario if this does pass, like what happens from there. Not to be a doomer or to like sound like an asshole or anything, but if this does pass, like what happens from there with you guys?
So there's two things. One, if it passes, there is a 4-day redemption period. Thank you very much in the comments, by the way. I really appreciate that. There is a 4-day redemption period. So essentially, people would have to manually claim their USDC back at NAV for their tokens. In the example that the 100% proposal passes, it would be on the assumption that in 4 days, 100% worth of the treasury is claimed in tokens. Whatever's left, we still continue to operate with. I'm very confident that even if it passes, 100% of token holders will not be claiming them back. We have a lot of support and a lot of validation. Either way, we're never going to give up. Like, we really do believe in what we've built. We are extremely passionate about the problem we're solving. It might take us a little bit more time, and of course, you can imagine it's demotivating. So we'll just make sure to rally together, and no plans change. We forecasted a significant amount of revenue for the end of 2026. That doesn't change. That won't change because of the market or because of this ridiculous proposal. It'll just be a lot more of a challenge. But we're ready to go to war. We're already going to war. We've done it once. We did it for the raise. We'll do it again, and we'll never stop.
Okay, well, that's a helpful message to leave everyone with, man. Best of luck, Rishi. Thanks for coming on and talking about this situation. It is curious, and it's like an interesting thing that I think needs to be solved and people need to look at, because 3 weeks or however long you guys have had, it's not enough to get your footing. Yeah,
exactly. Thank you very much, man.
Well, get easy, man. Best of luck. We'll be in. All right.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Okay, that is an interesting situation. It's tricky. It's real tricky for Rish, because I could see now, it just so happened in this case, or for fair scale, it just so happened in this case, I was a holder who already had supply, and here I'll go here. In this case, it was a holder who already had supply, a large amount of supply, who raised this proposal. But look, if there was someone out there who didn't care about the project, didn't care about what was going on, I mean, as a smart trader, I could see them going in and buying up a significant amount of supply to have significant control and vote in this decision, and simply raising a proposal to liquidate at NAV and give yourself an instant 200-300%. In this market, that's fantastic. So I see both sides. From a trader perspective, it's a great trade. From Verscale's perspective, they haven't had enough time to operate and prove themselves. So it's a tough situation. I think it's gonna mean Adam from Star is gonna have to think, I guess, long and hard about how to avoid this. I think that's probably something MetaDAO has been thinking about too, with the Ranger situation, with the Hero Pay situation. They even had a new mechanism to add a buy wall in there. Net asset value buy wall, a NAV buy wall, with everything over the cap that they raised minus spend. I forget the exact details. But it's an interesting situation. I don't know, man. I don't know. Sorry I'm late. I feel like as long as Fairscale is hitting their benchmarks, then such a proposal shouldn't be allowed. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, malicious or not, there's always going to be a trader out there that wants that wants the upside, right? Let's make a random name. Let's just say I see I see Joshy, I see Jane here. Let's just say Josh. Not Josh because he's a co-host of the show. Let's just say Greg. Greg is out there. He's got no relationship with Fairscale. Frankly, doesn't care about the team, doesn't care about Star, doesn't care about ownership coins, like whatever. Just an investor. And he sees, okay, Fairscale, and I'll pull up a chart here. Fairscale is trading. Here, let's see. How can I do this best? Maybe there. Fairscale is trading here, at 100 at 0.01 cent. 0.01 cent or 0.000, whatever it is. 1 cent. But the real fair value of the assets on their books is actually more like 300%. Right? So as a smart trader, you're going in there, right? And I'll just mark this up so you guys can all see, right? Call this the net asset value. This is what they have on their books. This is how much liquid capital they have, minus their burn rate, minus their spend. This is what they got. Yet for some reason, the market, because we're in a bad market, emotional sellers, whatever, it gives this arbitrage opportunity where people oversell this down to the point where it's 3x below net asset value, 200%. And so what a smart trader does in this case is says, well, I would be very quiet about this, but over 1 to 2 weeks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy up supply just with DCAs, or I already have 10%, I guess, in this case, and I'm going to raise a proposal. And so what probably happened here is when this was significantly under the net asset value or the NAV, someone was buying up this supply and they said, okay, I'm going to raise this proposal. And that's going to do two things. As soon as I raise this proposal, well, people are going to fear it's going to pass. And so they're going to pile up and do the same thing. They're going to say, okay, well, price is at 1.5, net asset value is 3. That's a free 100% if it passes. I'm going to pile in, even if they don't agree, but they know they can make instant money. And so it's almost like now what's happening is you have a situation where it's working significantly against the team because price was so far under the net asset value. And so like it doesn't matter what this product is. It could be the best product in the world that everybody likes. If it's trading significantly lower than the net asset value, it's going to get arbitraged up. So the question, I guess, going forward is how do you avoid this arbitrage, especially this level of arbitrage where there's 300% from the bottom to be made by arbitraging? Well, you could do a few things. You could buy back every time you dip below net asset value or a certain amount, right? I don't think anyone's going to put up a proposal for a 10% gain for liquidation. There's too much risk in that. But what there's not a ton of risk in is buying a bunch of supply super cheap and knowing you're going to have people pile in for this proposal because there's free money to be had. And I wish Rishi and Fairscale team best of luck on this because it kind of sucks. They're in a really difficult position here. But it's really hard to gain support from people basically saying, hey, support us. And you guys support us so much and show us so much support that you're missing out on actual short-term gains, right? You have to believe in us in the long term enough to forget about the current arbitrage opportunity. So it's a tough ask. Tough situation. So let's see. If the vote passes, what mechanism enforces liquidation? Is it a smart contract based? Yeah, so they're using I forget the exact name of it they're using, but yeah, I think it's pretty much smart contract based. And so what happens is they have the treasury. Of course, it's been pulled from for their monthly allowance, whatever spending's been allowed, voted on, etc. And so they have this treasury, and now if a vote passes, that treasury will be automatically claimable by people at NAV. So I guess what I should have asked is, does that decrease? Right, as people claim at NAV, does that decrease or does that give you the same price for everybody, because then it would be a race to claim. And at some point, again, it would get below the NAV. And again, it would be arbitrage in the opposite direction. You would actually, want tokens again, rather than wanting to sell them. So they have my support. They are really building something. Just let them take the time. I'm really frustrated this happened. If you want 3x or more quick plays, play some memes. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here agreeing with it. I'm just laying it out. But again, it's tough. It's tough to say go play some memes when if you look at the pump fund numbers, to be like a top 10% trader on pump fund, all you have to do is make over $500. Like, there aren't people winning. It's not as easy as go play some memes, right? Because there's a lot more risk in playing some memes when with something like this, unfortunately, you just have the upside. And if it fails, you lose some percentage to slippage, because I would imagine you would just sell back to the market. Yeah, dude, it's all strategy. I don't know. It's I can definitely see how this is upsetting though. Crypto Josh curious though, as someone who supports them, how do they win this fight? Because essentially asking people to vote against this proposal, no on this proposal, means missing out on basically guaranteed zero slippage claims on the treasury. It's like it's a lot to ask. How do they like, what do they do to make sure this happens? What's the incentive there? And I slipped up. I should have asked him if they have any current revenue or if they're still pre-revenue. I guess that would have been something to use to their advantage. Hey, look, we're making money, guys. Let us keep growing it. We can, do 3x in revenue over the next year, rather than claiming here and getting a 1-2x. Sorry, but couldn't this be solved by simply saying you can't have such a proposal as long as they keep delivering on their white paper with I suppose, but there's nuance there. Joshy loafers? What is this? Oh my gosh, dude. Is this Crypto Jones? Is this Jones? Is this Jones, dude? Meme and Josh out? Oh, I gotta see that in full screen. I'm gonna check that in a second. Yo, I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. Ping Adam. Yeah, I should get Adam on. Let me see. Adam from Star. Let's see. Maybe I can get Adam on real quick. If he wants to come on and talk about this, because it's a tough situation. Because I can totally, I can sit here and say, man, I feel for Rishi too, and like I want to see this win. But I can also say, from a trader perspective, I can see the traders wanting to take advantage of this. Like, yeah. Let's see if Adam wants to pop in here and say something. Yo, come up, wanna pop on stream to talk fair scale. Yeah. Okay, so back to your question, Joshy. But couldn't this be solved by simply saying you can't have such a proposal as long as they keep delivering on their white paper within a time frame? I would think the answer is actually no to that, because as long as they keep delivering on their white paper within a time frame, there's like a lot of nuance to that. What do you guys classify as delivering on their white paper? I guess maybe if you go through each scenario and you meticulously detail what that looks like, maybe you could do it. But that's a very meticulous process, right? Because there is nuance to it. What does it look like to check off a roadmap? Some things can be gamed. Some things, like, there's a bit of nuance to that. So it's a difficult proposal. 1 second, guys. Let me see. Let me message Adam in a few groups and see what's up. Yo. It sucks though, because yeah, like I only had a couple weeks. You can't build a business in a couple weeks, bro. It's like they didn't really have a fighting chance, which is difficult. So I see both sides to it. I really do. I really do. But I feel for the team here. That sucks. We'll see if Adam did see my my message. Let me see if he wants to come on and talk about this. 5 minutes just calling Maya. Yeah. All right, we're gonna have Adam come on here in a second and see what he thinks about this. Let me send him the link to join. 1 second, guys. What do you guys think? From an unbiased perspective, I know we had Crypto Josh give his opinion on this. From an unbiased perspective, guys, what would you do? And this is a question to holders. This is a question to people that aren't holding. This is a question to someone that sees this and they're like, oh, maybe it's an opportunity for me. What do you guys think about this situation? Because it's pretty peculiar. It's unique. Would you like? I don't know. Would you take the arbitrage? Would you take the opportunity? Yeah. Yeah, I guess it even comes down to a moral thing too. Like, I mean, taking the arbitrage opportunity kind of, it means, although you're making a quick profit, and we know trading is a zero-sum game. But I mean, you can actually see, like in this case, trading is a zero-sum game. For someone to win, someone has to lose. But in this case, you literally like see the effects of the person losing. So is playing this arbitrage opportunity less moral than trading normally? I don't know. Nonetheless, we'll wait for Adam to join, see what he thinks, because it's tough. I think this will become a strategy if it isn't addressed. Yeah, it's absolutely a strategy. Yeah, it's absolutely a strategy for traders. Look, if this becomes a trend where I can buy something 3x below NAV, raise a proposal because I have a ton of supply now, and basically vote myself into winning and guarantee myself a 2-3x, like, of course, it's going to be a strategy with no slippage. And it's, I mean, look, it's a good strategy too. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a good strategy. It's a good strategy, but it just kind of sucks to see. These Futarki models seems like a whale game, but MetaDAO seems to be putting some better rails in place for the new launches. Yeah, I mean, it is a whale game, but frankly, you don't have to be a whale. Like when you look at this was at 100K market cap, right? It does. I mean, look, I'm not saying 10K is not a lot, but it doesn't take a lot to buy 10%. You're going to have slippage, but if you pace it out over a couple of weeks, you can buy 10% up with 10K and have instant 10% going towards your decision after raising a proposal to make a guaranteed like 2x, right? It's definitely a whale game to some extent, but you don't need much. How much money can the trader make? Well, he had 10% is what he said. I'm not sure when he bought. I'm not sure when he bought or what he's been in since. So he could be just playing to get even here. He could be playing for a profit here. I don't know all the details. Pierre, but let's talk to Adam about it. Adam, what's up? You good to go?
Yo, 1 sec. Plugging in my computer.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove you then. I'll let Adam give me the thumbs up. We'll talk this through, man. It's something. Oh, okay. Put this up. Adam, give me the thumbs up when you're good to go. Okay. Adam,
Hey.
How's it going, man? You were just on a call?
Yeah, was just calling Mia about some tokenized equity stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, we're on a stream. Darren's gonna get involved as well.
Okay, word. What's up? How we doing? We got a pretty curious situation here with Airscale. I just want to talk through and see what you're thinking. I'm sitting at this looking from both angles here. As someone who holds a project for, the vision to see it through, like I'm one of those people that will continue to do it. But also I look at from the trade. Chad, did I lag out?
I think I lost.
You guys hear me?
I don't know if it does. Yeah. All good.
Better now? Okay. Either way, to sum up what I was going to say, I can see both perspectives on this, right? You have a short-term trader who might know nothing about the project who's like, oh, okay, wait, I could pretty, for a cheap amount, accumulate a lot of supply here and raise a proposal and get like a guaranteed no slippage, 1, 2, 3x on my money, 2, 3x on my money. Or I could be a holder and I have to basically fight against this arbitrage knowing that there's like some upside here to be made. How do you look at this situation? Because it's just unique, and you're, as a founder of Star, like you have an opinion on this, and we're all curious to hear like what's the solution, what happens?
Yeah. So I think from my perspective, like we've in the last 12 hours just like learned a lot about where futarchy needs like some sort of guardrails. And one of those things being like, there should be a grace period for founders to not have to worry about like treasury liquidations or buybacks X amount of time after they've completed their fundraise. Because what's happening now is like a complete waste of time. Like we spent a lot of time due diligencing Fair, like making sure that their algorithm, the things that they built actually work, provide value. We've tried them. Then we spent time marketing them and helping them succeed in the fundraise. We organized a shot for them. Me and Doug, we flew out to Birmingham. We're there with them for like a whole fucking week, like pushing nonstop to get this across the line. And now it's like, not even a month later, and there's like a proposal that's being traded to like send all the money back to investors. And that's just like a waste of time for everyone. It's a waste of time for us. It's the team. It's the investors. It's like negative EV across the board, right? So one of the things we've been thinking about is like this grace period. Like how long do you need to give founders the grace to actually be able to prove out their like net worth before even considering a buyback or liquidation? And this is something that we think founders should be able to basically decide themselves. And high value founders will be able to ask for higher grace periods, and like lower value founders that people probably have less trust in will be able to ask for lower grace periods, right? So it's something that the market just prices in on every team. Because what's happening now is like in our eyes, like a total waste of time. We like, as a platform, we can't take a stance and say this is right or wrong. Like the investor is in his rights to create the proposal with the rules that have been agreed on. But as founders, we can obviously have an opinion on what we think is right or wrong. So I'll let Darren say anything if he wants to.
I think no, spot on.
I mean, what do you guys think about this trader in this case? Seems to have been someone who has been holding Fair for maybe a while. I don't know all the details of it, but definitely knew about the project. Is this going to be a strategy going forward to where, and Joshy in the comments says free money almost guaranteed. Honestly, good on the trader for recognizing the situation. It's on Star to fix this model. And Joshy also was mentioning that despite it being free money, it seems like, it sucks, the situation that's going on. But a smart trader is going to recognize these arbitrage opportunities. And obviously it's not his fault for being keen and privy to the situation. Is it worse morally than taking a trade normally?
I mean, yes, it is. It's like, you have like a whole team of people that's like working on solving a problem, and suddenly you like rug pull their chances of trying to like do it when they've already been working on it for time, have like gone through the arduous process of doing like a public fundraise, like building trust. They have like, it's it is worse morally. But
I mean, I would push back and say that if you raise money under the conditions that it can be clawed back at any time, kind of the game you sign up for, right? So I would push back there a little bit and say, you're doing beforehand playing this game, and then if it happens, then
it's fair.
We can't argue this game. We can't argue this game based on morals. Like I wouldn't.
True.
It's like show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome kind of thing. So I don't think he's like in the wrong for like spotting this opportunity and going for it, but it is definitely something that we will be solving for for even the next raise, which is on Thursday, there'll be very clearly defined rules around when buybacks are possible and until what period they're not.
Yeah.
What do you think could have been done?
A little bit to, it's up to the teams, right? As well. If someone a longer grace period at the cost of raising a bit less money,
Yeah.
that's up to them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what a fair market is, I guess. You set the stipulations and you have to like live or die by that, I guess. If you guys had to look back at this, like how could this have been avoidable? Have you guys had that conversation? Obviously, when it was trading significantly below the NAV here, I guess they could have been doing some buybacks to bring it closer to that area to make it less equitable for someone to come along and raise a proposal like this. Maybe have only a 10% upside, 20% upside if they did so, rather than a multiple hundred of percentage. Looking back in hindsight, like how does this get avoided? Do you have any answer? Because there was like a clear arbitrage opportunity here at this point when it was sub 0.001 or whatever it was, when the net asset value represents 0.003 or whatever it was. Is it a buyback? Is it like, because we're seeing MetaDAO try to do the buybacks, which have not really worked great, I would say, so far.
No. I mean, I'm not the expert on this, but I really like the idea of some sort of vesting in the pre-sale stage as well, and that kind of biases it's kind of seats your cap table with more long-term holders, and then when your holders are more long-term, then you kind of reduce the risk of them pulling like a quick refund like this. But it all comes in the end of the day. It all comes at the cost of raising less money. So it's up to the founder, and up to the teams.
Yeah.
I think
Does that make sense?
I mean, just to be specific and build on what Darren just said, like we are built a vesting mechanism into our contract where you can basically signal and say, I'm willing to vest for longer to get a higher priority allocation to this raise. So if you like really fucking believe in something, you can signal that and say, all right, I'm willing to lock my tokens for 6 months because I really care about it. And you'll be first in line to get access to a raise. So in the pro rata division, you go first. And this is something that like mechanically should solve for that commitment issue. It's harder for like dark horse teams that like, don't have a ton of hype or backing, of course. So that's probably something they can leverage less. So I think that's like definitely one thing that'll help going forward. And second, I really do think like a grace period where investors just need to know, like, you can't do buybacks in like the first 3 to 6 months. Like I think at least you need that amount of time to like prove yourself. Yeah, I think it's those two things really come to mind.
That's actually really interesting. I think about venture capital rounds and Series A and, how all this stuff works. These venture capitals aren't all getting the same price. It'd be even interesting to see if there's a mechanism in there to where, hey, I do 6 months of vesting, I get a 10% discount on price compared to the person that does no vesting, right? Or whatever that is. Is that like also part of this mechanism you guys have thought of, or not so much?
We thought of it, but it's essentially, you run into the risk that upon ICO, the people that are not investing and therefore like don't have the allocation boost are essentially directly underwater when you launch. If you give the people with vesting some allocation boost, so it's a bit tricky, but we have looked into it. But right now we're doing it, like Adam said, priority based. So if you vest, you get priority allocation over the people that don't. And that way everyone still gets a fair flat entry price or a similar entry price. And you don't run into the risk of being essentially directly underwater with your investment.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. These are all just growing pains, right? Like at some point we had to, I think, experience something like this to learn and grow. How are you guys thinking about that? You know, going through this, maybe a little unexpected, maybe kind of sucks taking a gut check here in the moment, but like, what does that mean for future of Start Off Fun?
I mean, there's like two sides of the perspective. Like on the one side, it's like incredibly interesting to see this mechanism at play, and we're looking at it like scientists are looking at like an experiment. And no, like seriously, like we're trying to take a very objective, like, okay, like what is going wrong here? Like what is going right? What rights should the investor have? What rights should the founder have? And then there's, of course, like we are founders ourselves, and we empathize deeply with the Fairscale team and have like seen them push through hard times to like get through, and obviously want to see them make it through this, because a team getting like fully liquidated because a trader saw an arbitrage opportunity like 23 days after their raise completed is very bad for us and our ability to attract more founders, right? I think there's like a good chunk of founders that probably are passing on MetaDAO because like they don't want to have the risk of just getting liquidated like, you know, 3 weeks into building their company.
Yeah.
So we are thinking really deeply on like how to prevent this while still giving the investors rights that they deserve, but also making sure that founders actually have the time to like execute. Because
I think one of the schemes I proposed was that you can liquidate, but up to a certain amount. Right now we have the 100% option in there, which is like a full clawback.
Yeah,
and that's a bit tough if you, especially if you only have been building for a couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
So maybe you do something that you can liquidate up to a certain amount of months of runway. And that's kind of also a bit more founder friendly, because then you can at least ensure that when they raise with us, they can build for a couple months without the risk of being completely clawed back.
And it's ironic because me and Aaron were in Hong Kong last week for Consensus.
Nice.
Meeting a ton of like liquid funds, VCs, angels, like the whole gamut. We spent a lot of time with Meteor as well, talking about Bedrock. We'll have more news coming out about that soon. And we had like a couple chats where we really tried to nerd snipe an investor on like Futarchy and markets and like this whole ecosystem that we're building. And they were just like, yeah, like I don't think like markets will be able to make good decisions for early stage companies. And we're like, no, it's like the power of the markets. You only need 20 people to participate. And it's like as if like the, you know, I don't know what Murphy's Law or whatever it's called. Like literally the day we get back, we get a message that's like, yo, there's a proposal to liquidate Fair. So we kind of have to like strengthen our own pitch here and make this system bulletproof so we can more confidently pitch it to like TradFi VCs that are like just kind of don't get it at all.
That's good reflection though. You know, you guys have probably had this conversation, but when you talk to Rishi and the team here, like what's the advice? How do you convince traders not, because at this point, I'm not gonna say it seems guaranteed, but how do you convince traders not to take the arbitrage or take the free money right in front of them and like hold steady to Fair? Like what's the pitch there? Because it's tough. Like it's a really tough sell.
I mean, is it though? Like you can get like some of your money back for a loss now, or like hold a token that could be worth like a protocol that could be worth like 10+ million in like the next 18 months.
Yeah.
Like just by being patient and like doubling down on the conviction that got you to invest in the raise in the first place. Like, yeah, maybe we're also biased because like we speak to Rish and his team like almost every other day, but sure, like maybe what they're building now is like, okay, I don't see how this can get to market, or like I don't see how this can be monetized, but like at this stage, you're really just betting on like the founder and their team to just like eat enough shit until they eat less shit and then like find their way. No, but seriously, like it's just betting on human beings, like sheer conviction and will. Like, and if you speak to Rish or you see his moving on X and just like the constant updates, the things they're putting out, like Solana's like retweeting them every other fucking day.
Yeah.
The group chat with Solana and Rish, And like he's just like he knows how to get people to back him and support the ideas that he has and like the vision, and like compound that over time. Obviously not 25 days, but compound that over like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and then you start to get like really interesting outcomes. And that would be my pitch as to why you shouldn't like basically sell at a loss now and just like hold your fucking bags.
Valid. You'd agree, Darren?
Yeah.
Everyone's nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're taking the perspective of selling at the loss here. How I'm looking at this is people are buying here for the arbitrage opportunity and taking the profit. So there's a different dynamic here that I guess I didn't even really consider, that there's a lot of people that are in since ICO that are maybe down and they would sell for 20% loss rather than seeing it through. So it's valid. I guess there are more holders in here that are underwater likely than people that bought for the arbitrage opportunity that are looking for a profit.
100%. Yeah. And what we've pushed Fair Scale to do is basically just mobilize those holders and have them like sell into the no markets basically.
Interesting. Well, it is fascinating, and I'm glad you guys came on here. Do we want to talk about like what you guys have coming up next? Then I got you here, so we might as well see what's going on if you have time.
Yeah, I can give you a little sneak peek. I think you should get Eden on the show next week while their fundraise is active. We'll be doing the shot on Thursday. So yeah, I guess like Friday or any time onwards.
When does it go live?
This Thursday, UTC.
How many days is that? Like 4 days or something?
We're gonna do a 5-day raise, so it'll be Thursday ending on Tuesday.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah, put us in contact with them. I'd love to get them on Tuesday. I love getting these people on like the last day of the raise just to kind of gauge feeling, and then like 2 hours later they either hit or don't, and it's kind of interesting. So
yeah, no, the action all happens in the last little bit. It's quite fun. So these guys are really cool. They originally started building on the XRP ecosystem. They built an NFT marketplace and an NFT collection called Xpunks that I think collectively did like 34 mil in volume. Like they've done quite well in that eco. And then they started working on this game, I think 2 years ago. And basically the concept of Eden is that it's a first-person shooter where you buy into a match with real soul. And if you kill someone, you take their soul. And if you get killed, you lose your soul. So it's like financialized game.
Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they can speak much more to the game and like the mechanics and so forth, but they're basically like an early stage team that's raising a minimum of 300K. They're going to have a futarchy, obviously with some modified parameters after the fair the fair issue, like where they'll have a grace period and they'll be very clear about what's the minimum amount of tokens you need to create a proposal. But yeah, they're going to be raising on Thursday. We have a panel. We have one special guest from the Solana Foundation, which I'll be sharing more about tomorrow. We have a ex-gaming champion turned trader and a couple other like cool founders that will be on the Shark Tank. And yeah, that's what's next for us in the immediate future. And after that, we're going to be introducing a new launch mechanism that we're really, really stoked about. That'll hopefully break the internet in its own way. But we're still finalizing the launch plans, and I'll probably come back on to talk more about this specifically because it'll require like a full episode to really discuss it.
Okay. Is it super complicated or just like something we haven't seen before?
It's something you haven't seen before.
Yeah, we'll get you on. When's that going live?
Probably end of the month.
End of the month. Okay, very cool. Have you guys played this game, the Eden game?
Yeah, played it this weekend, the alpha.
How is it? This is an NFT era game. I think notoriously NFT era games have been like, I mean, admittedly pretty terrible. How does this one stack up?
I think it's pretty good for like an indie game. I think it's quite solid. I mean, I've played worse. I've also played better because I played Call of Duty and Battlefield and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's really interesting. Like it's more the financial mechanics and the underpinning that I find interesting than like the game itself. Like,
right.
I think the founders, they're Dutch guys that live in Portugal, and we spent like a decent amount of time with them. And they just, again, they have like this dog factor that I would in any case bet on.
Dog factor.
They will figure it out.
I love it. I love the dog factor, dude. It's important.
It's honestly like that one of the highest things, like the biggest things we look for in early stage teams is just like, are they gritty, resilient? Can they come up with solutions to problems? Like everything else at this point, like you can try to be like an armchair VC, but it's like it's not really how things work.
The dog factor is the highest signal you can look for. Honestly, it's valid though. I mean, like, especially today with what we're seeing with OpenClaw and the emergence of just vibe coding and how powerful this stuff has gotten. It truly is like lies more today on the founder than it ever had. Founder and distribution and like people capital than it ever has in the past, which I think is so fascinating. It's gonna be crazy to see what comes out of that. How are those conversations going for you guys? Conversations with the idea guy that's decided to build a product because it's just a lot easier now than it used to be. And I don't know, are you seeing a lot more of that from your perspective? I'm curious.
You're asking if we're seeing a lot more idea guys come to us to fundraise?
I don't know. Maybe more so just like, guys that a year ago, not non-technical guys coming to you with stuff that they vibe coded in the last year or so, because it's just gotten to that point where you can be a good founder with really good people capital and foundational skills, but not technical skills.
I would say that most of the founders we talk to still are like pretty savvy. Like it's either like a small team where there's one technical founder, or it's a technical founder themselves. Like I haven't had a lot of like vibe coders come to us, probably because like the friction to fundraising with us is higher than just like launching a token on Pump Fund or like Clanker or whatever. So we're talking to more like really early stage teams. I think what we're about to drop next will index more towards smaller raises, so like 100 to 250K more or less, and that might change the ICP slightly. But what we have in the pipeline are like, they're all, I can't think of one that's like a solo vibe coder ideas guy.
Valid.
Yeah. But maybe that's just our ICP as a platform. Yeah.
No, valid. This microwave concept I think is super interesting. I think it's applicable to the current market conditions. And I guess I'd love to hear your thoughts too on how long you think these markets are going to last, like how you're playing it for the long run in terms of market conditions. But I think the micro raises are super interesting, where people can see like significant upside if they get in on them, but you also don't need a ton of inbound demand to hit these micro raise goals. Do you want to talk about how you're seeing that currently?
Yeah, actually, let me turn it on you and ask some questions to you, because I think that'll reveal the answers here. What do you define as a micro raise?
I would say like probably realistically sub 100K, but real micro, I'm thinking like 25, 50K to just like really bootstrap and get things going.
Right. Okay. How many micro raises do you think like the on-chain ecosystem of traders can fill in a week, assuming they're all 100K?
How many in a week? There's a lot of nuance to that, right? It depends who's raising, how good the projects are. I would say like you have some pretty good projects with unique concepts. The issue I feel like I'm seeing so much of right now is it's the same narrative over and over and over again. Why the OpenClaw stuff did so well is because it was fresh, it was new, and you saw relatively stupid OpenClaw derivative projects do well, right? Where it was just, there was a time where everyone was just making Twitter for OpenClaw, this for OpenClaw, this for OpenClaw. It was just like a kind of recycled narrative, but it was so new, it was interesting. So I guess to answer your question, I could see 3 to 5 micro raises getting filled as long as the narrative's not stale.
Every week.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
5.
I mean, well, and I take that just based on, again, I saw some of the concepts coming out of this OpenClaw narrative, which weren't frankly very good. You go to pretty high market caps, and I could see those probably getting filled. Maybe that's on the high end, 3 to 5, but definitely, yeah. I would stand by that if they're good enough.
But those tokens got like way more than, like, let's say 500K of buy pressure, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, some of those tokens just got ridiculously bid up.
Yeah. So wouldn't that indicate that there is probably like more capital available for these like super early stage projects?
Yeah, I actually think there's a ton of capital available for the super early stage projects. It goes to show that like there was just a lot of sideline capital waiting to bid these things up. They just needed the narrative to fit the scope, fit the bill. So yeah, I mean, I would say there's probably there's a ton of capital, but again, the question just comes with so much nuance because I don't know the projects we're referring to here.
Right.
I mean, assuming they're like of investable quality and they've been, and now I'm dropping hints here, but let's assume they've been selected in some way.
Curated per se. Yeah, dude, I could see per week. Yeah, 5 to 10, maybe 5 to 10. I don't know. It's hard to be anything but conservative in this market.
If there was a micro raise of 100K and you like the project, like, what's the most amount of size you would allocate to it?
This would be fully diluted value, like a 40% to 60% circulating.
Let's assume 50% circulating.
50% circulating. Yeah. So at a 200K market cap, I would be willing to. I'd be willing to get like 2% of that, to like $2,000. I don't know. Without just starting to get into the field where I get rapey and I get way too much percentage for it to be like a good distribution. I would say probably like 2%, where I would feel comfortable just like throwing it out there to get a 200K fully diluted valuation of a promising project. Yeah, I would definitely do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, we can't share more on this right now. But we're like really, really stoked about what we're working on now. It's like weird and different. And some of the VCs we pitched it, they kind of like raised their eyebrows. But some of them also really got it, which is cool. So yeah, you'll see more info from us on this soon. For now, we're just focusing comms on Eden.
The hot seat. Yeah, it's weird. I'm in the hot seat for once. I'm not prepared. I'm the questions guy, not the answer guy.
I mean, actually wanted to call you guys and have like a longer Q&A about this like model that we're working on, but we can maybe do that off stream. There was just a couple of the main ones that I thought would be cool for you to share.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I would love that. Yeah, it's super interesting. I think one of the interesting concepts recently too is seeing bags do so well. Like, it's clear that people have an interest for emerging open source projects, right? Like GSDs, I think a very easy example. GSD is growing a ton. People are using it. Like, it's gaining interest. It's new. It's hot. It's exciting. I'm like, man, if he had a micro raise for that, where, he got 100K and now he has 100K to be a steward of this money to distribute to open source contributors. And, maybe a piece of the IP goes back, piece of future revenues goes back to holders, you make it an ownership coin. I see a lot of these guys, having this model where it's like, okay, we're going to raise 100K for you. Once we have the 100K, we present you, hey, here's 100K to claim. You got to check off this, this, and this, and this to guarantee some holder protections. But I can see a lot of those guys who have really cutting edge technology being like, shoot, that's 100K right there. I could build this out. Yeah. I could be open source. I think that's really fascinating. I think we saw GSD do that really well. We saw Ralph and Gastown also take that money, but of course it ended very poorly for those ones. So there needs to be holder protection clearly. But I think this micro raise idea, dude, there would be so many people willing to take 100K if they got that opportunity, I feel like. So
that's the bonding curve, and then they claim fees, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference in launching off the bonding curve and then claiming fees versus doing an actual fundraise where you where the founder has a certain minimum, and then they launch a token, right? And that's very tough, because when you launch with a bonding curve, you essentially have the token doing marketing for you while you raise, right?
Right.
In a pre-sale, it's more difficult. So yeah, we've been toying with the idea of going, bonding curve into Futarchy upon migration, for the like smaller races, because in these smaller races, founders don't have the distribution to market their own fundraise, so they need a token to do it for them. So maybe there's something there, but yeah, we're exploring it with it.
Yeah, it's generally like I think harder to get escape velocity to fill a pre-sale,
yes,
than to just like have a token shoot up to a 2 mil market cap. Like, because there's inherently in the bonding curve, there's the mechanism of like, if you're early, you're rewarded, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you don't have that in traditional pre-sales.
Yeah.
It's something that we're thinking about and thinking about baking into the sales as well. But then that comes at the price of all of your investors are in at the same level and we're all like equally committed.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to make basically distinctions between the slider, we see it as like how speculative is it versus how fair is it. The things that are like more speculative will kind of market themselves by nature, whereas the things that are more fair are more like,
yes,
the good old school values of like we're all in this together and like everyone's getting at the same price.
I would rather get in at a flat raise price of like 200K than with all the information on the table laid out there and like limited downside, because of course, we see with fair scale, you have this clawback mechanism where if things kind of go wrong, you can get your money back, or at least a portion of it via Futarchy vote. I'd rather do that, invest in 200K FTV than gamble on something fresh out of a bonding curve with no information at 100K. I'm willing to pay the 100% markup on that because there's still plenty of upside, which is why I think the micro raise is so fascinating, because it still gives people that speculative aspect where it's like, okay, wait, I still can 10x my money with also like the protections and information aspect of it. So whatever. We'll see. I think it's fascinating.
That's great insight, and that's really good feedback. Would you want those raises to be pro rata, in the sense that like there's a period of time where everyone gets to contribute and then everyone's distributed fairly, or would you want to kind of be able to lock in your position, as in using it like a first come first serve mechanism?
You couldn't do first come first serve, simply for the fact that someone could, with these micro raises, get 10% and just kill the chart or have too much voting power. Maybe the answer is pro rata with much shorter windows. It's not 5 days. You have like, it's live, 24-hour raise, or 6 hours, like whatever it might be. I don't know, to be experimented with. maybe touching on something you guys have looked into, but I don't know. I don't have the answer, bro. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, it's tough because we see the experimenting going on now.
You either make it completely fair and very hard and slow, or you make it incredibly fast and extremely unfair. So it's finding the balance.
We'll find the Goldilocks.
Yeah, the Goldilocks.
I'm convinced of it. But yeah, what you just said is like, yeah, that's the move. That's the move.
Interesting. There is a market for that. I think there are people that are interested in that. So I think for people in the comments that can read between the lines, you might have gotten some insight on what's to come. But Adam, Darren, definitely give us a call. I'd love to chat more about this with myself and just the whole MCG team about our thoughts, and we'll give you some real honest feedback there. But anything else you guys want to cover before we hop and I push to the next segment here?
No, that's it, man. I mean, I think for everyone watching, stay tuned. We've got a Shark Tank going live this Thursday with Eden. And if you did invest in Fair and are holding Fair still, then please go and participate in the market. We are looking for the max amount of participation possible. I think so far we're like about at 20 unique traders, somewhere around then. So yeah, just go out, like share your thoughts.
Provide information to the markets.
Exactly. And
it seems like 20 unique traders, everyone makes a difference here in this case at this point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, we trade the markets internally as well, of course. Like we want as many informed opinions as possible. So yeah.
Okay, guys, noted. Well, we'll keep an eye on Fairscale, see how this plays out. Hopefully you guys are reflecting on this, gathering some good feedback, and we'll be in contact soon. Get you guys on to explain this full model here and at the end of the month or something.
Thanks, Dom. Appreciate you, man. Speak soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Of course, boys.
Ciao.
Take it easy. That was a fun little impromptu thing. Guys, I like the idea of micro raises. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. You have more of an informed decision, but you're still doing quick DD. You have to be on the ball here. If you miss it, there's FOMO aspect. There's still upside to it. Pull up the star chart. I feel like Adam might be able to cook something here soon with the way he is moving with the micro raises. Yeah. Good point. Let's pull this up. And here, look at this. We can see real quick. I'll pull up the Fairscale chart first. A little flush out here to the transactions. So maybe Adam did some convincing. Who knows? Or, yeah, so look at this. Now, this is this FTV wallet. I'm wondering if this is the guy controlling it. Yeah, see, he sold out of 5, 10, 15, about $2,250 was just sold here. I'm wondering if this guy is hedging his bets now and selling out to take some profit here, or because he's not maybe confidence fully going to fill. Let's see. Is this the wallet? Not sure. I guess the star he has, or I guess the fair scale he has would be in the decision market, so it wouldn't be represented in his personal wallet. But I'm not sure. Interestingly enough, that's the fair scale chart. Unique position. Unique position. Do what you will with that information. Let's do star. Star.fun. Let me try to find it, guys. Find the CA real quick. Got you. Okay. Here's a star chart. They are at 814K FTV right now. They made some recent, not recent, I guess, at this point, but they made tokenomic updates. So you guys should go check that out. But interestingly, can't see the chart. Yep, Ave. Embarrassing. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so there's the context there. Yeah, so here's a star chart. I think the micro raises are pretty fascinating. Let's lay out the thesis here. And of course, there's a lot of nuance. We don't know the answers to this. We don't know if this is all, none of it's confirmed. So here, we'll zoom out. I'll do the daily chart for you for the star. Star daily, obviously down a little bit here. Coming out with this new micro raise mechanism, which I think could work as a good proxy to bonding curves, but just with protections and information, because there's still a lot of speculative value to trying to get in early on these things, and you really can, except in a raise format, which is nice. Why isn't this loading, dude? Ridiculous. Come on. Gonna reset it. Dude, they're forcing the hand here. Okay. This is a daily star chart. 814K fully diluted value. Pretty much at the bottom here, it's got very low 24-hour volume, so it seems like sellers are kind of squeezed here. There's maybe not many sellers left. So maybe you get the classic short squeeze going on here. But sellers, yeah, very little sellers, very little volume in this market in general. Let's talk about the pros and cons here. Okay, so you have this new mechanism, a micro raise. I've discussed this similar scenario here with a few different founders. But what's the value in a microwave? Pros and cons. Let's do pros and cons board. Pros, lots of speculative upside. Getting in a 200K fully diluted value leaves a lot of upside. Limited downside. Now, to be determined what they do with these changes. Is it going to be a 1, 2, 3 month minimum of runway before being able to claw back your money? I'm not sure. What's the allocation? 10 a month? That gives you 10 months runway. It's speculative, so maybe even more, 15 a month, right? So what does that look like? Let's just say over the course of 3 months, half the treasury is allocated and spend. And then after the 3 months, you will actually have the ability to then claw back if you wanted to via Futarchy mechanism. So they raise 100K, you're at 200K fully diluted value. All things go wrong, you would still take a pretty big loss if you ended up clawing back for net asset value, 50, which would be 50K. So maybe they would limit that to like 10 to 15 a month in spend. But again, for these bootstrapping projects, you want to like it's kind of balls to the wall. You know, I think there's more inherent risk in that. So maybe the runway, rather than being as long as some of the current ones, the runway is compressed a little bit. So lots of speculative upside, you know, limited downside in the terms of, you know, how much it could go down here by the time you're able to actually raise a proposal to get, you know, get out at X amount NAV. Assuming that no revenue is actually generated in that time. So limited downside, speculative upside, still brings that sort of urgency that these bonding curve markets have. With Pump Fund, you know, when you're using Axiom, when you're using whatever, any of the bags, any of these bonding curve markets, you have very little time to research. And that's when you see a lot of volume coming in with people who are like, okay, concept's good, let me invest. Concept's good, let me invest. This is nice because you can say, okay, concept's good. I have 1 hour here, 2, 3, 4, 6 hours here to do as much research as I can and get an idea. There's edge in that. There's edge in that. It's still not enough time for everyone to get the same knowledge as you, but also get people speculating and interested. And like they said, you can raise more. It's not like one raise every other week where they're raising 300-400K. It's like, okay, I could get 6 unique projects out. They're all different. They're all unique. Early stages. Maybe some aren't early stages. I don't know. But I could see people quickly banging in 100K to those. Me personally, like I said, I think I could see myself buying 1-2% with very little hesitation. So those, you know, it only takes 50 people, 100 people to do that. Not as fair though, right? They have to figure this out. They have to crack this code. It looks like everyone's kind of exploring this right now. What is the good mix here? Because when you have pro rata, you have whales coming in, gaming the system. You know, they know they're only going to get filled on 5%. So they do 500%, you know, extra allocation so they can get a little bit more, right? It's a whale game. Or you do first come, first serve, and then you have someone who, if for a micro raise, goes and puts 10K in and gets 10% of the supply. And then basically you're at their mercy. So they got to find the balance there. That's, I think, one of the cons. You know, if these don't raise, it's not like there's much loss. There's no real opportunity cost there. You know, even if you invest in the ICO early, it runs for 6 hours. You're out of the USDC for 6 hours. If it doesn't raise, it doesn't raise. You know, you don't lose that money. So no real opportunity cost. I don't know. Interesting. I think it's a good way to do things. It's like a mix between a bonding curve and ICO. And I think it's really good for some of the projects we're seeing running right now on base. Some of the projects we're seeing run right now on bags. I think like that's kind of the market to where open source projects, new speculative projects based around primitive technology, cutting edge technology, clawbot stuff. I think that stuff does really good. Okay. I got a lot to talk about, guys. Let's get into some of the tweets I have pulled up because I got a ton. And I'll try to riff off some of those fast, but interesting conversation, guys. Look, as a trader, there's always opportunities, even in a bad market. If you were paying attention there, you could have been the person to raise this proposal. Would you be an asshole? Yeah, you would. Would you be making profit if you accumulate 10%? Also, yes. So, you know, interesting situation there. Hope you guys saw this. I'm sure you did. This was a pretty big in the news situation going on. Oh, How can I make this thing bigger, dude? Do that. There you go. Nikita Bier posted this. Dagger to the heart of Bags and Banker. And we'll see how they respond here in a second. He goes, we're rolling out more detection for automation and spam and a lot more to come. We know this has been a big issue, bro. If you look at comments of popular Twitter accounts, it's just straight bots. Just straight bots. And all they do is take the tweet and they basically repeat it in the comment. It's ridiculous. But I digress. Nikita says, if a human is not tapping on the screen, the account and all associated accounts will likely be suspended, even if you're just experimenting. Which, you know, experimentation's fine. Spam, maybe not. While we aim to support legitimate use cases of agents, this will take some time to do properly. For now, we recommend holding off on plugging in your bots. If it's critical, you can use the official API. Mixed reviews on this, man. Mixed reviews on this. I'll go to Santi right here. He goes, I've heard most of the interview here with Peter Steinberg. There's now a couple of very contradictory messages. On one hand, he claims to be losing around 10 to 20K a month on maintaining OpenClaw. Again, it's expensive. It's expensive right now. Compute's expensive. Spend's expensive. Running GSD is expensive. On the other hand, he disses the crypto movement from trying to tokenize his project and being very spammy. I understand his prejudice towards spammy agents trying to open your eyes about BankerBot or similar tokenizing systems. I held those viewing myself, but Peter, there's probably at least 100K in fees waiting for you, definitely, on these token networks, if not way more. Open your eyes, man. Of course, that was stated on the Lex Friedman episode, which we've mentioned a few times on the show today. Nikita said, frankly, this is the most dishonest perspective on the claim your fee spam that I've ever read. Everyone knows that the moment he does it, it'll haunt him for the rest of his tenure on this app. Every reply will be about making the price go up. We intend to update our API policies to block apps that create fee pools for non-consenting users. Sounds like Bags, sounds like Banker. Yeah. And we're getting a lot of feedback on that. You know, a lot of feedback. A lot of people saying they like it. A lot of people saying they don't like it. That's what Finn thinks. That's what Finn thinks. But they did say, you know, they're steps ahead of this. They got something new cooking up. Significantly upgrades will begin rolling out this week on Bags app. Bitcoin gave us verified decentralized ownership of wealth, not your keys, not your coins. People and soon AI agents will demand the same full control and true ownership over their LLM agents' memory and digital selves. Not your weights, not your agents. I want to hear his response to the Nikita thing. Of course, the classic posting the many men wish death upon me. Blood on my 50 cent, excuse me. So classic. Claim the fees is no different than VCs cold DMing founders to get on their cap table. The only difference is that we just made everyone a VC. We're going to continue to democratize access to both capital and opportunity at scale. You're not wrong, just early. Get ready for what's coming next. We're always 10 steps ahead, already on the next thing. Thank you. Now watch this drive. So there it is. I mean, it seems like Finn and Bags are not too affected by this. We'll see how they roll with the punches there. Banker, on the other hand, I believe they instantly shut off all operations in terms of like claiming fees and stuff. Or I'm not sure exactly what they did. Honestly, I've been off for the weekend. Claiming fee was never the end game. It was proof of concept, and it proved something important. By bootstrapping with a token, developers can create real businesses with AI agents. Starting now, only self-deploys are allowed through X. You build it, you deploy it, you earn it, you earn from it. Fully in your control. If you've been watching from the sidelines, now's the time. Our Discord is where devs and building the future of agentic business together. So people are saying deploy or fold it a bit, man. Ollie here's Hayden. Send Banker to 10 million market cap. So it seems like a deployer folded a bit on this news. But we'll see. I don't know. It was never the end game is what they say. So interesting nonetheless. Nikita, he's coming for heads. Now remember, Nikita, interestingly enough, backed Believe in a big way. Right? Nikita and Pasternak were friends. I think Nikita might have even invested in Believe. I'm not quite sure. don't quote me on that. But he definitely promoted Believe. Believe notoriously started off as a, at Believe token launch, blah, blah, blah. And you could launch a token from the timeline. It's kind of a full 180 here with okay, we're not allowing spam on the site to, or from launch your token with a tweet, spam, 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 deploy, 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 to guys, we don't want any of these spammy bots. That don't make too much sense. But it is what it is. Is X down, guys? Is X down? Or, oh, no, that was at 150. Was X down for a little bit? But I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? How do you guys feel about this? Nikita's cracking down. Now, we got an interesting tweet. Actually, let me pull it up here because I think this gives some credence to, oh, did I already save it? Come on, come on, come on. Oh, where is it? No, I guess I haven't. All right, so let me pull up what Andy Ayres had to say from Loria, because this is really interesting, and I think it actually gave us some insight here. Okay, show this tab. Andy Ayres said this in regards to Nikita Bier, right? Nikita said, frankly, this is the most dishonest perspective on the claim your fee spam. We've read that earlier. Andy Ayres said, I'd advise against this, actually, as someone whose life got tokenized by locust-style paparazzi. The claim your fee spam is a step up and probably not the last innovation sitting in the wings. Let evolution run and Sherlock the best ideas for yourselves. Why is this important? Well, we know Andy Ayres has a token that directly benefits from the claim your fee spam with Loria. And he said clearly, I'd advise against this as someone whose life got tokenized by a locust-style paparazzi. The claim your fee spam is a step up and probably not the last innovation sitting in the wings. Let evolution run and Sherlock the best ideas for yourselves. Seems like, I mean, definitely a sign of good faith by Andy Ayres here. Seems that he's interested in the bags protocol. We know he's been claiming fees from Loria. And this seems to be kind of a soft, I'm not going to say a soft shill, but a bit of a soft shill for the Loria token. Not an endorsement, but like him saying, hey, look, it's got its perks. I see it firsthand. Something to think about. At these levels, you could build a pretty strong case here to buy Loria, in my opinion. It's at 3.3 million right now. Started to trend sideways. Volume started to dwindle a little bit. And this is like kind of like the range you're looking at. Maybe it goes a little lower. Who knows? But Andy Ayres kind of just endorsed bags in a very soft way. We know he's claiming fees. We know he knows about bags. Could be something. I think there's a strong case for Loria at these levels. So shout out Andy Ayres. I saw that. I was kind of excited for the Loria bags there. I was like, maybe I'll get some Loria here because I actually don't have any to this point. 1 year later, and this clip still haunts me. I gotta play this, guys. Do you remember this? Shout out Jill for sending this over. 1 second, guys. 1 second, guys. There we go. 1 year later, and this clip still haunts me, man. People say there were no signs. Guys, but if you ask me, there was some signs. When RNG, Banks, and some other guy, Razmir, went on Aiden Ross's stream to talk about MLG. Jeez, boys.
Yes. Do you think that's
there were signs
speaking because of Trump coins, etc.?
It's something. It hasn't even started. Yeah, it's something that you have to like.
What do you mean it has started? The biggest Solana coin just dropped, and that's what made it go to $300.
Exactly. It just started. This month,
yeah, but
this year,
who's bigger than the president of the United States?
It's not about that. It's about like I think the point is actually the yes.
Just getting started, bro.
Because of
1 year ago today. Fuck. It's been a long year. It's all good. From blocking Launchcoin to funding its success, not a good look for Solana. Not a great look for Nikita. Nikita's Twitter. So, but yeah, interesting stat here. Meme coins have been the best performing sector in recent days. And again, I've been offline for the weekend and largely for Friday because it was a buddy's birthday. Meme coins are the best performing sector in the past few days. Seriously, who's buying memes in the current market conditions? You can see the sector outperformance. Memes being blue here. I heard Penguin went on a run. Is that true? I know Penguin and like some monkey went on a run. Or at least I heard that. Let's see. 550 million market cap? Oh, no. This is totally wrong. This is totally, I'm like, what? Here, it's this one. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Dude, it's at 15 mil. Didn't go on a run. What are we talking about, dude? What memes are running, guys? What memes are running? Do you know? Either way, according to this Velo chart, meme coins are the best performing sector in the past few days. Retail loves simple narratives and memes are the simplest. I mean, but the markets aren't good enough to pump these meme coins. Now, this comes right after Pump posts a job listing for in-house volume generator and market making positions. This is where I got the Penguin thing. Punter. Penguin inexplicably goes to nearly 200 mil. Penguin did not go to 200 mil unexpectedly, dude. Or unless we're talking about back in the day. Unless this was from back in late January. This must be, when did he post this? February 15th. Okay, he must be referring to late January then, because Penguin did not go on an unexpected run. Stupid little monkey starts running to 20 mil. That's a monkey I was telling you about. I think I don't know. I saw a monkey with a little, like a pet play toy monkey, and I don't know. People like him. I don't care. Call me a conspiracy theorist. You're not convincing me there's an organic bid on this monkey because of lines waiting to see him. While we are on-chain off-switch conditions in 2026, there's no marginal buyer of a coin like that at 20 million. That's still live. I tend to agree. But I mean, speaking of crime, guys, have you seen Pippin? Oh my gosh. Pippin. This is just criminal, man. Criminal. And I did not sneak in this bundle. I held this back in the day when it originally launched for the AI season. I wish I continued to hold. But look at this chart. Ugh. Filth. Twitter's is experiencing issues with live streaming posts. If you can't find your live in X, you can manually post it by following our guide. Okay, I think we're getting Twitter issues, boys. Jeez Louise. Whatever. Maybe I'll just clip this up and get it out to you later. But this crime is like, what kind of crime is going on here, dude? Pippin from 22 million to 720 million. I mean, it pumped all the way to 660, dipped down to 155, and now it's straight up candled every single day for the last like week or two, up to 720 million. Oh my goodness. Imagine, I mean, that's some crime you can size into. Who's doing this? The Chinese? Is this the work of the Chinese? I don't know. Either way, pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff, man. Let's listen to this clip of Mark Cuban's advice. Mark Cuban's advice on selling AI agents to small businesses is the most underrated clip on the internet right now. Here's the full play he didn't break down. Bookmark this. Pick one vertical, learn the flows, become the AI team they never hired and wish they had. You really don't need a CS degree or VC money. You need Claude or a cold email sequence and willingness to learn one industry better than anyone. Bonus, finding an industry leader who knows nothing about AI but knows everything about their business. Partner with them. Bring AI into their operations. You increase your EBITDA. You increase multiples. You own a piece of the upside. This is business model of the decade. It's 2 minutes long. Our attention spans are not 2 minutes long, but I'm going to play it. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to reshare so I can capture the audio here. I'm going to play this at like 1.25x speed for everyone here. Come on. There we go. Okay. Let's hear from Mark Cuban, somebody I have mixed feelings about.
I've been through every single technology, event and evolution, and this blows them all away. Now, how you implement it in business is a whole different issue. Like literally when I was 24, I was walking into companies who had never seen a PC before in their lives and explaining to them the value and having these guys going, well, son, I got this receptionist right there. I got that secretary. I'm never going to need that shit ever. Right. But then, my business then was helping them figure out how to implement it to give them an advantage. There are going to be integrators that, particularly young kids, like when I'm telling my kids who are 15, 18, 21 or 19, 21, and kids going to school, what should I do? What should I do? I'd be like,
AI research.
Learn all you can about AI, but learn more on how to implement them in companies, right? Because to your point, companies don't understand how to implement all that right now to get a competitive advantage. You got the head of Microsoft saying software is dead because everything's going to be customized to your unique utilization, right? Or usage. Who's going to do it for them? Particularly small to medium-sized businesses. There are 33 million companies in this country. 30 million of them are solopreneurs, right? Single-person enterprises. There are only there are millions of companies that have 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500 people that aren't going to have AI budgets, aren't going to have AI experts. This is where kids getting hired coming out of college are really going to have a unique opportunity. If you're spending your senior year in college right now, your senior year in high school, even whatever it is, your excess time, and you're learning the difference between Sora and Veo, and you're learning how to do all this video, you're learning how to customize a model so that then you can then walk into a company and say, I understand your business as a shoe company selling shoes at a retail store or selling shoes online. Let me show you how to benefit you. That is every single job that's going to be available for kids coming out of school because every single company needs that.
Yeah, I mean, valid. I think we still have a little ways to go before AI is like,
I've been through
powerful enough to where you can vibe code solutions for people. But look, he's absolutely right. If there's a niche vertical business you have a deep understanding and knowledge in, go to some of these small businesses that are just, outdated in terms of technology and implement this stuff for them. So many people are years behind on AI. People still think AI is the same ChatGPT we had back in 2020 during COVID. The AI that hallucinated, the AI that gave them just outlandishly wrong answers and swore it was correct. We're not it is not the same AI. We're in a much different place. People are failing to adapt, especially small businesses that have had brick and mortar companies, that have had these companies forever, 10, 20, 30 employees. Yeah, it's a great vertical and business strategy to go and study their business, create AI agents or apps for these small businesses that completely benefit them and just implementing them, showing them how it works. There's absolutely a big vertical there, big opportunity there. Look at the volumes on the recent candles on Pippin. WTF. For reference, guys, $18 million in volume in the last 24 hours for Pimpin. OMFG with the update. Yeah, I just saw Profit reposted that. We'll check it out right now. This is Cuban's learn to code moment. AI will do this for them. Right. I think the answer, though, is these boomers and some of these small businesses don't even know the power of AI and probably won't. Even if we go in 6 months, we have AI that's so powerful. You can think of an idea. It cooks up full-fledged apps, very little human, interaction. You can make these things in a couple hours. I think you could go still sell those for a massive premium and margin to these small businesses because they're just going to be completely unaware of it. I think this advice is applicable now, but it will be much more applicable in 6 months, to be honest. Let's check out the OMFG update. Let's see. OmniPair. Shout out Ave for calling this out. OmniPair beta is live on Solana. Let's see. DeFi later. By the way, OMFG, terrible at communicating. OMFG ball knowledge for Twitter is it's terrible. They need to come on MCG, bro. We've been trying to give them a platform for so long, but their Twitter communication has been so poor, and that's all I've heard from their community. So If you're listening to this OMFG team, pick it up. Pick it up. This is sound advice. Let's watch this. DeFi laid the foundation for a new financial era. The stack remains fragmented. Looks like their product is live. Check it out. Check out their website. Again, OMFG is a DeFi platform. Okay. Our beta is live. Let's check it out. Dude, Josh, it's funny you said that. I actually meant to cover that last week. It's taxing unrealized gains is the most retarded thing you could ever do. You do not tax unrealized gains. That's how you kill an economy. Radar has a good post about it. I'll check it out. And I gotta pull up. You know what? Here, I'll go. I'll do that in a second. Let's look at this OMFG platform though. Our website. Capital never sits still. Borrow, earn. Our engine. Go long or short any asset. That's pretty cool. Take leverage positions with Oracle fee pricing. Let's see what is OMFG sitting at right now. I remember it was like getting pretty cheap because they were just terrible at communicating. Okay. Sitting in a interesting range. I don't know, nothing crazy. I don't know if I have much to say on this. Let's see. Let's go. Can we trade some tokens here from OMFG to USDC? Why not? Okay. Borrow. Okay, it's a full DeFi platform. We need to see some volumes. Next step is how many people are using. So I'm on their market section, OMFG USDC. They have 22K trading volume, so they have about 40.2K TVL so far. Again, just went live. So you can't take much from that, but it's a full DeFi suite, DeFi integration. Congratulations on going live. Let's talk about this. Did you hear about the Dutch government decision to tax unrealized gains? Radar has a good post about it. I'll pull up the Radar post. Let me actually, real quick, before I do that, though, pull up. I want to see your profile picture here. Let's see. Let's see this. Let's see this new profile picture. Yep. Crypto Jones. As expected. As expected, man. Silly guy. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That is so good. That is so good. Josh, he's got the jock strap hanging off the gay flag and the gay pride flag in the back. Got the little Stanley Cup there. You miss every shot you don't take. Josh, you loafer. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Crypto Jones, man, he memed us into Dom Lemon. He memed me into Dom Lemon, change his PFP, and now he's doing Josh. That's great. Good comedy, my guy. Let's talk about this though. I got something bookmarked. Let me see if I can find it. Yep, here it is. As Zeneca said, taxing unrealized gains is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Of all, I'll never understand how the idea is getting as much traction as it is. You can hear new Dutch Parliament member Michael Hugenbein explains how a 36% unrealized capital gains tax just passed by the House of Representatives will work. Here is a more detailed example. I'm not going to read through the example, but the general idea of taxing unrealized gains is literally is literally the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. It's literally the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Let me break it down for you guys. Make it simple. If you were taxing unrealized gains, let me go back to Zeneka's post. If you're taxing unrealized gains, that would mean if you buy a house, you buy the property, you buy the house pre-built for $500,000, $500,000. Or we'll just do $1 million to keep the math simple. You buy a house for $1 million. You pay property tax on that. You buy the house. You're actually, you're in the hole about $1 million, give or take some change too in taxes. Well, now over a couple of years, the house increases to $2 million in value. We'll just do 1 year. In 1 year, the house goes from $1 million to $200 million in value. Well, now you have a house worth $2 million. You have to pay $600,000 or $720,000. Is that right? 36%. What was the unrealized gain tax? 36% unrealized gains. So yeah, 36% of $1 million is $360,000. 30% of $2 million is $600,000, right? So 36%, 600, yeah, $720,000. It's crazy. So nonetheless, you have a house. It's actually gone up in value $1 million. So you'd pay 36% on that. So you have a $2 million house. You would owe $360,000 in taxes. But guess what? You never sold the house. You're living in it. You're not cash flowing it. So you own this house that's increased in value, but now you owe $360,000, but you've actually never taken anything out of it. So you have two options. You sell the house to pay these taxes, or the bank comes and takes it from you because you can't afford the taxes. And most people don't just have $360,000 laying around that they can pull out to pay taxes on. That's the issue with a tax on unrealized gains. It goes beyond just stocks and crypto. Literally everything, like houses, everything in this economy, you'd have to pay tax on unrealized price for. And then on top of that, you pay $360,000 in taxes 1 year, and then the next year, property prices drop, and your house that was once $2 million last year is now back to $1 million in value. Only thing is, you paid $360,000 in taxes. So it doesn't work even if your property keeps going up in value, because then you're forced to sell it to pay these taxes. And it doesn't work if the property goes down in value, because if it went up at any point in time, you're paying taxes and then losing that money on taxes. I mean, it's not how an economy works. It doesn't work. Crypto Jones, do you have an opinion on it? I think you said Radar made a good post about it. I'll check out Radar's post. In my mind, it makes absolutely no sense. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Just like it applies to houses and houses going up in value, of course it applies to the stock market, and crypto applies to us as traders here. I have $100,000 in CLED. Goes up to $200,000. Pay $360,000 in taxes. Have not realized any of it. Speculative, volatile asset. Take gold and silver. Silver went up 100, 200% in a year, whatever it was. Supposed to be one of the most stable assets in the world. Goes up 100, 200% in a year. In a day, it goes from 120 an ounce to 75 an ounce, or in a week. All of a sudden, I paid taxes on silver at 36% of my gains at $120. And now it's down to $76 the very next week. You have nowhere to run. Like, you're not safe at all. An asset going up now goes from like a good thing to a possible, like an issue. Goes from being a good thing to have an asset going up to, hey, if I don't take profits now, I might be paying capital gains tax, or I might be paying unrealized taxes, as well as selling for a loss in the future. It does not make sense. Yeah, I just saw the Street Foundation as well. You can now go public and supercharge your star from your deck. Let's check it out. New Street Foundation tweet. Also, Orgo being officially announced soon. What What makes you say that? Did Orgo put out a tweet saying that? Now we know they're going with Street, but here's what I said. I think Kamala to wanted, yeah. Kamala to want to do this. Thank your looks. No, yeah. Look, the Trump crime family has not been great. In certain aspects, right? In certain aspects. Extracted a lot from the crypto market. We're getting tired of winning. What would have been worse than Trump is Kamala by a long shot. You're right. Kamala, I think, proposed this. It would have been devastating to the economy. Devastating to the economy. Nothing about paying taxes on unrealized gains is a good thing or a smart move whatsoever. It's absolutely, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Very tired of winning, but this, you'd have started getting tired of losing with this one right here. Because if you won, you would literally lose. Imagine we got Kamala in. We got the Kamala pump, right? Instead of the Trump pump that we had post being elected, you got the 1 year of Kamala pump, or 6 months. You made all this money. You paid all these unrealized gains taxes on it because Kamala got elected, and then you lost it all the next year. Holy cow. Yeah. It's been a rough shake for the markets. Kamala is legitimately a dimwit, though. You're right. It would have destroyed the economy, destroyed the middle class. You cannot do. Yeah, you can't tax unrealized gains. And again, it does hurt the middle class the most. The upper class could liquidate something to pay these taxes. Still ridiculous. But they have assets. They might have liquid money. Or they could take out debt. Right? They could take out debt and pay the taxes, unrealized taxes. Still stupid. Middle class doesn't have that leeway. And lower class, of course, definitely doesn't. But lower class probably doesn't have any money to invest in stocks, housing, etc. Right? The middle class might have enough to get themselves a house, might have enough to get themselves, like, even if a car goes up in value, you're paying out unrealized gains taxes on a car, which is like, something that loses a ton of value. So it's very destructive. The rich get relatively richer. I don't know how an unrealized gains tax would make the rich any richer, but maybe I'm missing something there. Oh, relatively richer. Yeah, the rich get relatively richer in terms of middle class can't afford to make investments. Lower class definitely just will not make investments. They already can't. They definitely won't. Okay, yeah, you're right. Relatively. Yeah. Let's check out. I digress. The unrealized tax thing is so stupid, though. Like, you have half a brain if you think that's a good move in the slightest. Let's see Street. Okay. So here's Street. Sorry, I was just reading something, boys. You can now go public and supercharge your startup from your desk. Raise capital by just being tradable or fill rounds in hours instead of months. Get your startup in front of millions of users with just one click. Get financially aligned people to supercharge your startup growth globally. Protect yourself against the synthetic perps and prediction markets taking your startup public. Go to street.app and talk to our IC or nice.so if you can't wait. Check out these links. What's being tradable can supercharge your business. CLED's user growth after tokenization. 0 users, 100,000 users. CLED company foundation X impressions. Pre-tokenization, 15K X impressions, 30 million plus X impressions. CLED raised a total of $5 million in volumes and fees just by being tradable. CLED made $5 million from being tradable. Wow. Raising $5 million, man, for an early stage company, that's impressive. Like, that's a lot of money, boys. that would put their valuation, you know, just off of like this raise at like 50 mil, assuming they would sell 10%. I don't see anything about Orgo though. I don't see anything about Orgo. Street post about it? I don't see anything about Orgo, boys. It's all good though. Let's see the website. IPO from your desk. I'm confused. Why? Okay, why do they have Noise on here? Go to Street Talk Back and talk to our IC or Noise Talk. So if you can't wait. So they have a partnership with Noise? Every builder can now IPO from their desk. Noise. You guys hear this?
Well, you can take your and shove it up your ass.
Every builder can now IPO from their desk. Noise is purpose-built for founders that are early in the game for teams like ours, Storytime. In May 2025, we built a Farcaster tipping app and launched the token the same day at 35K. In 3 months, we did 12 million transactions to 75,000 creators, raised 500K from their tokens, plus additionally raised from Coinbase Ventures. Balaji got listed on Coinbase, hit 60 million on highs, all from that. The token did more for our growth than any feature we shipped. Tokens are tricky. Regulations are broken. Most of the tech looks down upon them. It's going to be hard, long solve, and will take iterations. We're happy to make our top ecosystem tokens valuable with Street Foundation. Across 5 million market caps plus 38 age. Okay, sweet. That's big. So let's go back to Nice. There is an official partnership. Obviously, we know that Repo is one of their big projects here that's launched on Noise. They said their top tokens. Bankers on here from Noise? Wait. They didn't launch all of these, did they? They didn't launch VVV. No, they couldn't. They didn't launch all these, did they? Guys, did Noise launch all of these? Did launch Nemesis, Edel, Veil? These are some ones that did really well. Send recently is doing really well because their treasury is like higher than their fully diluted value. Kato, Surge, Kita, no way. They didn't launch all these. Did Noise launch all these? Yeah, dude. Obvious cooking. I would just Kled and chill, bro. Honestly, yeah. They didn't launch virtuals. They didn't launch all this stuff. There's no way. They didn't launch all these. I don't think, unless I'm tripping. Either way, they have partnered. Noise has partnered with Street to integrate Street Foundation into their top projects, which is bullish. Cool. Good for Street, man. Oh, look at that. They updated their website as well. Our portfolio, building next generation breakout startups, Open Droids, Kled AI, batch number 1 coming soon, working on tokenizing with Street Composes 2 years ago. Okay, Avi.
In your guys' view,
Blockmate, Street and Kled, instant. This is a good website. Does it mention Orgo on here? Is that where we're seeing it? Either way. Okay, cool. Good updates. Ray Dalio posted a tweet not long ago, which I want to cover real quick, guys. And I know we're starting to get a little long, so I'm going to call it here shortly. Ray Dalio posted a tweet not long ago. He said, "It's official. The world order has been broken down." This is a long read, 71 million impressions. He posted about this 6 months ago. I watched an interview with Ray Dalio 6 months ago, and it's on Diary of a CEO, or 5 months ago, excuse me. And he basically talks about exactly this. He talks about where he sees the world is going. You can see that we're heading into a very dark time. America and the UK's decline is coming. I don't have it pulled up. Rookie move, dude. Rookie move. Ray Dalio, we're heading into a very dark time. Very dark times. America and the UK's decline is coming. And so I'll tap back over here, but he's been talking about this for a while, guys. It's worth listening to that podcast with Diary of the CEO, X Ray Dalio, if you want to get some more info. It is pretty interesting. He makes some good points, but I'll read the summarized version from Grok. Okay, it's a little long, but we'll do that anyway. Ray Dalio's X article, blah blah. He posted this in a recent Munich security conference where leaders, including Germany's Frederick, blah blah. I don't care about all that stuff. Core framework, the big cycle. Dalio draws directly from his 2021 book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. He places us at the end of stage 5, pre-breakdown of the existing order, and on the brink of stage 6. For reference, when he was on Diary of the CEO, he was doing this press tour for his book that was just released. This is, of course, talking about stage 5, which is laid out in the book. Pre-breakdown of the existing order. And on the brink of stage 6, actual breakdown of the great disorder. So in stage 6, shared rules weaken dramatically. Might makes right. Replace law/enforceable order. Internal relations revert to raw power dynamic. Threat, deal, or fight rather than neutral courts or institutions like the UN, which lack real enforcement over star states, blah. This leads to the intensified clash of great powers, internal division with countries, and a fear loop of escalating actions. Nothing new being stated here. 5 overlapping types of conflict. Dalio outlines these as the main ways rivalries play out. Most start non-military but can escalate. And of course, through his book, he goes over the history of the world where he lays out societies that have risen and fallen for a lot of these reasons. Trade/economic wars, tariffs, restrictions. We're seeing that in the United States. Now we're seeing it from the United States. Technology wars, chip bans, limits on innovation transfer. We're seeing this right now between China and the United States. Capital financial wars, sanctions, asset freezes, capital controls. We see this happened, in Russia and Ukraine during their war. Geopolitical territorial conflict, alliances, bargaining under pressure. Of course, we're seeing that right now. Hot military wars, if the others are exhausted. I assume this would mean, okay, so-and-so is down on resources because they just came out of war. They've been fighting. They're using resources. Now it's time to, pounce on them. He knows that wars won't go as planned and will be far worse than imagined, often financed by massive borrowing and money printing, which devalues debt, currencies, and credit. Here are his investment recommendations. This is what we care about, boys. We're here to make some money. Investment recommendations. In this environment of disorder, weaponized finance, capital controls, and potential hot conflicts, sell out of all debt, bonds, credit assets, etc. Buy gold, sometimes silver or barter, because gold, or in some cases silver or barter, is the coin of the realm during wars when trust in paper money/credit collapses. Sound advice, we've heard it for our entire lives, right? Expect curtailed normal activities, unsafe traditional investments, limited capacity mobility, high taxes, possible stock market closures, and controlled asset prices/capital flows. Broader principle: have power, respect power, and use power wisely. Dalio stresses that this isn't a short-term trading call, but a structural shift. The world is moving from a rules-first to a power-first era. True. We can see people just have said, in some cases like the United States, or China or Russia have said, okay, there are rules in place, but we're above the law. We're above the rules because we have that level of power. So a power-first era, increasing volatility, possibly risk, and the importance of hard assets and real power, economic, military, and technology. I would also say, if you're really thinking about this thesis, Bitcoin fits into it. Immutable money, can't print it, can't manipulate it. It can be, cross-border transactions. Physical gold and silver is not so easy to barter with and move and price. He acknowledges the transition bringing uncertainty and a higher risk for businesses, fragmented supply chains, block-based markets, but says adoption, realistic sense of power realities, avoiding unwinning fights, and smart diplomacy can mitigate the worst outcome. This post is essential and update applying his long-studied historical cycles to today's headlines. Key takeaways of this, guys. Ray Dalio has done a lot of studies on history, on rise and falls of economies, collapsing of economies, and this is the breakdown. TLDR, he says, buy commodities, buy gold, buy silver, hard assets that you can hold. Don't buy futures contracts of those things. Don't buy them and hold them physically. Okay, so that's what Ray Dalio has to say. You can even see here in this post, he goes, Ray Dalio issues a stark warning amid global system reset. Sell debt assets and buy gold. The world order as we knew it is gone. We're headed into a very, very, very dark time. I would also say follow the money here, right? Follow the money here. Is Ray Dalio incentivized to post this? Not sure if you guys remember, but there have been bets in the past, I think specifically from Ray Dalio, literally from Ray Dalio, where he does this playbook. He goes live on big news channels and he fear mongers to death. Fear mongers to cause a public perception that causes panic and fear. And hence, if he's shorting a market or whatever it might be, he literally profits from it. I think we've seen this exact playbook from Ray Dalio before. Maybe in 2008. What do you think is going on with silver manipulation or correction? Do you think it will resume its run or is it over? Geez, dude, I wish I could tell you. I wish I had a crystal ball. Let me pull up the silver chart. It's done a very hard reset. Like I could see it sideways here for a little while, to be frank. The technicals of silver are blow off top, just like we saw back here, just like we saw back here. Technically, blow off top. From a TA perspective, I'd say we're probably down / sideways for the next couple of years, is what I would say. I think there is definitely manipulation going on with this, though. Yeah. I mean, bro, this is the second largest asset in the world. Goes from $120 an ounce down to 65 in a span of like a week. 50%. That's an insane drop for an asset like this. So like I don't even know how to call it here. Like it's already down 50% from all-time highs. Of course, after historical run. So anyone that bought in the last couple of years is still like, likely up unless you were literally a late buyer, very late buyer. So I could see it dipping for a little while longer. It does seem like there's a lot of fear mongering going on between the geopolitical climate, between the climate just, I think, locally for a lot of people, wherever you are, Europe, United States, Russia, Ukraine, like wherever it is, I think there's a lot of local tension, a lot of geopolitical tension, a lot of fear mongering from people like Ray Dalio and others saying you need to get into hard assets, people lining up retail craze. So I kind of think we've topped for a while, to be completely honest with you. Steady growth since 04, trend still intact in my opinion. Steady growth since 04. Talking about 2004 for silver? I mean, yeah, 20. That's a 20-year cycle, though. I would say for the time being, this probably is topped, in my opinion. A lot of people will say otherwise, but that's partially why I won't. The wars continue. The AI wars continue. Compute cost is the biggest thing. Kimi just launched. Apparently, it's it's a competitor, right? Just another competitor. I don't even know if I have much to say on this, but introducing OpenClaw now native to Kimi, living right in your browser tab online 24/7. Claw Hub, access 5,000 community skills, 40 gigabytes cloud storage, pro grade search, bring your own claw, blah, blah. Kimi's new. It's very popular. It's a lot cheaper than Claude Code. It's apparently faster. If you go on the benchmarks, all the benchmarks are saying this is really good. So what's nice about this is there's so much competition going on right now for AI models, for Claude, for Codex. So much competition. Like, they're really going to have to compete. I don't think they're going to compete to zero, but they're going to have to bring down prices and costs so much. And of course, it's happening with infrastructure going up as we get more data centers, as we get more energy. This stuff will all come down. It's only a matter of time before some of these compute costs and pricing comes down. But they're literally there is such tight competition that Kimi can drop one day, and then tomorrow a new update can drop from Claude Code or OpenAI or whoever the hell, and it's now 20x cheaper than Kimi and 5 times faster and blah 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 blah. It's just, dude, you can't even plan out more than a week in advance here, I feel like. Okay. So I just thought that was crazy. I saw this post by Gamma Chan, which I haven't read fully, but I would love to read it with you guys. Zoom in a little bit. I've not read this. I think it's kind of impossible to have a rock solid long-term macro thesis right now. I think it's very difficult. There's simply too many unknowns, too much path dependency, too many wild cards. Let's take AI, for example. Most people understand that this is going to reduce employment. There's a lot of paths there. There's a lot of paths there, though. Maybe your thesis is that's bad for the market because less money being plowed into 401ks. Valid thought, but here comes these wild cards. Maybe the Fed gets in front of it, or maybe it's a fiscal and new legislation aims to redirect some of the profit from the efficiency increase back towards the bottom half. Gov could step in and force a fix to unemployment that generates any thesis expecting a crash because of it. But as of now, we really have no insight into how they would, or really how willing they would be to do any of these things. Furthermore, even if you somehow correct or exactly what's going to happen, it can look very different in the charts based on what happens. The same legislation that fixes could give a smooth landing or a crash first, and then they step in. We just don't know. I think what we need is some kind of moment that tells us clearly where the people in power are at these things. Like when we had the 2023 banking crisis and it was clear that backstop was still in place. I think there will be a moment, some change that green lights risk again by signaling that they are not going to let us unemployed cohort crumble and they are going to step in, whether Fed or fiscal, to redistribute wealth. Right now, it's all uncertainty. We know Warsh is in favor of lower rates. Yep. Contrasted against a tighter balance sheet, but we don't know what his stance will be when up against the wall of unemployment. We don't know what his stance is going to be when Trump gets on his back. We don't know his fiscal levers. Trump may intervene if he doesn't get his way through the Fed. We just don't know. TLDR, we don't know. And I think that's the truth. It's really difficult to say what comes next because we don't know. We also see a big push from a lot of people for, universal basic income, right? I think Gamma Chan's completely correct in the sense that there's so many different angles to this, so many levers to be pulled, so many things that could happen. It's too tough to call and make predictions on what's going to happen in the short term. We just need more information. We need more answers. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had more thoughts on that, but I think he's pretty much spot on. Rate cuts are coming. We got a really good unemployment print last time. Like, allegedly employment was really good. I don't know if I believe those numbers, frankly. But I mean, we see it all the time where people someone's going to step in and intervene, right? I mean, it's not like people are just going to crumble like he mentioned here. So there's too little that we don't know, too much that we don't know to make I think a good decision here. UBI taxes on unrealized gains have the commies to taking over the world. The hell, yeah. There's a bunch of different theses people are throwing out there. I agree. I think we don't know enough. We don't know the answers. No one does. No one has the crystal ball. So it's hard to play this right now with certainty. And I think he's right. At some point, we're going to get risk on again, and you just got to be there for it. What did you think about the GST tutorial? It felt like it could be useful for devs, but not user friendly at all for the average person. Yeah. The setup was the issue. I think now I've gone through the setup, and I have to actually continue building out the website, Josh. Crypto Jones. I have to finish building out the website, Crypto Jones, but the biggest gap is going from 0 to 1, right? Setting everything up, having everything downloaded, and then the easy part is just GSD walking you through what comes next. I think the UI is a little the UI is too clunky. I like to just use natural language. I don't like to have to, understand all these commands, \clear, \this, \that. And yeah, it's a little difficult to set up. I think I'm past the hard part now. I think I can pretty much figure it out from here very easily. But you're right. I wish it was a little less clunky. We're gonna get there, dude. Absolutely gonna get there, and we're like racing to get there. So I'm not worried about it. No, I didn't finish the project with GC. I haven't actually worked on it since last time, since he was on. How much did it run you? I don't think it cost. I still have the $100 plan. I don't think I ran over that. I certainly didn't get a notification for any more. So yeah, $100, we'll say, but I haven't checked recently. Polymarket posted this. I wanted to cover it. Breaking: the U.S. has discovered a lithium deposit worth $1.5 trillion beneath an ancient superpower volcano in Nevada. This is posted from Polymarket. I don't even know what to say about this, but cool. We got some lithium now. We got a lot of lithium, I guess. I want to talk about VVV and Diem. Okay. VVV and Diem. And then I'm going to call it. Because I got more to go over. I just don't want to. Or I'll talk about this real quick too. Minimax just dropped M2.5 and it's on par with Opus 4.6 while being 20x cheaper and 3x faster. This is what I was saying earlier. It's just going to get cheaper. It's just going to get better. It's hard, it's really hard to say what's going to be the winning model at this point. So I'm just sticking with Claude for now. And then I think I'll reassess in a couple months when something's maybe been the winner for a little while or something. But stuff just drops every week. Minimax just dropped M2.5. It's on par with Opus 4.6 while being 20x cheaper and 3x faster. It is expensive to run these models right now. So again, race to zero. Let's talk about OpenClaw, man. This is what Sam Altman had to say about Peter, who is the founder of OpenClaw. Peter Steinberg is joining OpenAI to drive the next generation of personal agents. He's a genius with a lot of amazing ideas about the future of very smart agents interacting with each other to do very useful things for people. We expect this will quickly become a core of our product offerings. OpenClaw will live in a foundation as an open source project that OpenAI will continue to support. The future is going to be extremely multi-agent, and it's important to us to support open source as part of that. Lots of controversy on this. Okay, well, OpenClaw is over now because it's biased. Now that OpenAI owns OpenClaw, in a sense, or Peter Steinberg is joining OpenAI, automatically that's going to make OpenClaw biased. It's a valid concern, honestly. But bullish. I mean, look, this guy literally spun OpenClaw up, one of many projects he's worked on, and bro, he probably got a buyout from OpenAI. He's probably being paid, I mean, maybe 8 figures, probably 8 figures, $10 million. Probably. I would guess no less. So good for that. Good for Peter. No, I didn't see the Boston Dynamics robotics. For those who don't know, Boston Dynamics is a big robotics company in Boston, obviously. Been around for a little while now, but I didn't see that, Josh. Crypto Jones. No. Did not see that. Stablecoin Sean. Liquid, GP at FinTech.io, which are Liquid VCs. The thesis is playing out in a breakneck speed. Kelly Claude is going to 50 million plus, and you are getting your first big bounce in Claude. Lastly, I've replaced Banker with VVV for the full port size in my portfolio. Banker now has to consolidate and you are going to get massive chasing TriFi1 to VVV the next few days. Everyone is currently positioned in Banker is the $1 billion play in the next couple of days. Well, it has turned out it is in fact Ask Venice is the one. The rotation is going to be disgusting as everyone is offsides and the chat will begin. The rev numbers between the two are actually incomparable. I have more information on this that I want to read through because this was a really interesting trade for me. Trade that I see. Interesting. Thinking about VVV and something clicks differently when you frame it right. Here's my bull thesis. AI compute is not a speculative bet for me. Claude Code is the same line item as rent. I literally cannot do my job without it. It's not an edge anymore. It's a survival. And this is about to be true for everyone. Cinema, video, images, editing, research, every creative and technical profession. Everyone else is going to pay for the monthly forever subscriptions that only get more expensive as demand grows. I don't agree with this at all. I don't think it's going to get more expensive. I think it gets less expensive. $20 a month becomes 50. 50 becomes 200. 200 becomes 2,000, 20,000, and so on. The entire world locked in perpetually compute rent. VVV holders are not renters. They are owners. Your share of compute grows every year as Venice adds capacity. It grows as emissions shrink. It grows as you compound yield. While everyone else pays more for AI every month, your cost was at a one-time purchase and your allocation is increasing. There is no other asset that does this. Not Bitcoin, not ETH, not real estate, not stocks. Nothing else lets you own growing shares of a single most important resource over the next decade. The thing every person in every profession will need to function. Owning VVV is like owning a piece of the power grid before the world electrified. Except your piece gets bigger over time while everyone else's electricity bill goes up. There's no rational exit for that proposal from that position. He's got a whole thesis on it there. You can go read. But this has been running like crazy. It almost feels like it's a bit of a futures, a non-expiring futures contract for compute is how I'm understanding it, which I think is very interesting. So let me pull up the chart here. And I believe I'm going to have to pull up on Dex Screener. So firstly, we will do VVV. And then we'll do Diem. So VVV, and I'm going to add this to my hot list. This has been running. It ran from, basically 2 to 4, right? 2 to 4.5 in the last couple days. And here's a little TLDR. Venice is a private censorship-resistant generative AI platform where text, conversations, image, and code generate and AI characters interact, built on open source models and powered by decentralized infrastructure, founded in May 2024. Today, Venice supports more than 900,000 users. Wow. The Venice token, VVV, combines the benefits of decentralized blockchain technology with generative AI. Users who stake VVV are eligible to receive an ongoing share of Venice's inference capacity through the Venice API. That's what we're interested in. VVV allows autonomous agents and developers to access private, uncensored, and decentralized inference without relying on human intermediary, reducing costs and frictions for both AI agents and developers. They now have the ability to autonomously access inference via Venice's private and uncensored API, untethering them from the bias and censorship inherited with closed source incumbent AI platforms. One-time purchase, you get the AI, you get the compute at a set price. Let's check out the website. Interested to see how Diem and VVV work together and why one or the other would be a better bid. So here's Venice, private AI, unbiased AI, privately or anonymously access leading models. So you can, access all these models, GPT 5.2, GPT 5.2 Codex, Flux Pro. Let me see all the models. How to use Venice AI. Select a model, enter the prompt, view results. I guess the more VV you have, the more access you have in terms of how much you can just like any other API compute, whatever model. Private AI. Our private architecture keeps your AI prompts 100% private. All data stays on your device. So you can access all the leading. You can access all the leading models basically through owning this VVV token. Of course, the more you own, the more calls you can make. Okay, so try unrestricted AI today. $18 per month gives you, all these things. What about for VVV? Okay. There's a lot of theses out there. I have a few saved that I could go over, but for the sake of time today, I'm not going to. But that's VVV. Let's go and look at Diem. So I added this to my hot. Let's be monitoring this a lot closer. Oh, it's DIEM. Excuse me. This one's been running too. So yeah, going from 244 to just shy of 700. This is Diem transforms AI compute from a service you rent into an on-chain asset you own. So yeah, it's basically owned compute. Like we talked about, GSD burns a lot of compute. How much should I use? How much should I have to pay for the Claude Code instance to finish the project? I'm spending $100 a month on Claude Code. Most people are spending, some people are spending more. It can be very expensive to run some of this stuff. The thesis here behind Diem is you can actually just buy the compute. You can just buy the compute at a fixed cost. And if compute continues to rise, you have it set in almost like a futures contract. Tokenized intelligence. Each Diem token represents $1 per day of Venus API capacity that never expires and never changes value. So $1, one token, so $520 per token represents $1. Okay, tokenized intelligence. Each Diem token, which is $520 a token, represents $1 per day of Venice API capacity that never expires and never changes. So, if I spend $50 in AI capacity, you would need 50 tokens to do that, which would run you however much. The idea is people are just going to buy this to get access to this compute at a set fixed price forever, indefinitely, rather than, going and spending $100 monthly, $200 monthly, $100 a day, whatever it is on the compute. Diem are ERC20 tokens on base and can be transferred, traded, and staked. Diem can only be minted by locking, staking VVV, making Diem and VVV a foundational asset for on-chain AI. Tokenizing intelligence with Diem creates new possibilities. Developers, agents, one Diem equals $1 a day. Venice API access forever. So that's this is interesting because the token actually has an inherent value. Holding this token gives you access to a certain amount of compute. The more you hold, the more compute you have. Fixed price. If compute goes up in value, if demand continues to increase, this should increase by nature. So it's super interesting. $520 a token. Kind of expensive. PVV is 360 a token. I have to understand the difference. You can stake VVV to get Diem, I guess. What if Trump coin was the top of the bull market? We have been in a bear market since now. Just went through capitulation last few months. Now reaccumulation. Yeah, no. Ave, I think this is valid. I think Trump coin was pretty much the local top, and I think we have just been in a bear market for a little while, and so I think the bottom's closer now than I think we're closer to a bottom than a top, Ave. Yeah, I think you're actually spot on there. I'll just cover this and then I'm going to call it, boys. Flash Trade is now live on MetaDAO. I don't think they raised. I think they raised. I think they simply migrated to MetaDAO. It's time to make it official. Flash Trade, along with FAF, is now officially a certified ownership token. FAF launched with a fair mechanism already giving stakers a direct fee share from the protocol and follows Futari-based governance. This certification just confirms the full set of checks and balances are required to join MetaDAO and to get officially certified as one of the ownership tokens of their ecosystem. So good move by them. Let's see what that means for the token. It's up 10% in 24 hours. Oh, wow. People like that. People like that. Okay. When did this launch? Okay, so it's been out for a little while. This launched their update. They're now MetaDAO project. Went from 3 million to 4.5 million, back down to 3.3 million now. I don't know what they do. I haven't looked into the token, but now they're officially on MetaDAO. They passed all the checks. They, I guess, have signed over their IP and some of that stuff. So interesting. Let's see. Token. What do you actually own? Token holders want ownership and real value captured. The ownership token. Now, FAF is not just a token; it represents a legal stake in the protocol. Protocol revenue. 50% of all protocol revenue paid in USDC every 6 hours. Okay, so they got monthly rewards in FAF to all users. Okay, so they have a 50% revenue dividend already live. That's pretty cool. I gotta look more into this. So congratulations on that move. That's pretty awesome. Nonetheless, guys, I'm gonna call it on that note today. Go check out Deem. Go check out VVV. Go check out FAF. Interesting conversation today with Adam and team from Star. Interesting conversation with Rishi from Fair.Scale. Unique position for sure. So I think we learned a lot today. Had some good conversations. Talked about Bitcoin very briefly, macro, what we think's going on there. Talked about silver. Went through a lot, guys. So appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you tomorrow for a banger stream. Let's go over real quick MCG schedule for you guys. Remember, guys, follow the Twitter if you're not already doing so. Follow the YouTube to keep up to date if you ever miss anything. Go check out that Ray Dalio Diary of a CEO video. I think he pretty much covers the thesis he put out in this recent article very well here. So go check that out. Here is the schedule highlights. Okay. So we had Fair today. Tomorrow we have FOMO. That's going to be very fun. Seagull as well, which is actually not one I've heard of. I wonder if Josh or Chill must have gotten that one booked up. But so Tuesday we have FOMO and Seagull. Wednesday we have Blowfish, which is going to be a very fun one, I believe. We have an open slot. If you guys want an open slot Wednesday, we have it for you. Thursday as well, we have Work 402, which is a X402 project on Base. It's been popping. Open slot as well with that. And then Friday, we got our Trader Radio featuring Jones Ryder from Left Curve DAO. So good stream ahead. Tune in, guys. We're going to keep dropping the sauce, bring you alpha whenever we can. Stay strong throughout this market, boys. You're going to make it. It's going to be good. Peace.